Dear God, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea how many trades went down today. It was approximately anywhere from 1 to 1,000. So it seemed like it was a little closer to 1,000 than it was for just one. We have a lot of things we need to get into, I'm assuming. A lot of questions. I mean, I'd imagine this is a longer live stream than usual, but let me go ahead. Let me set this up. And as I do, let me remind everyone that if you have not done so yet, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, and if you want to check out any of these player props, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. I know I've been so annoying about this as of late, but I worked my butt off to get y'all this. If you go and sign up for Underdog with the link in the comment section, the link in the live chat, and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. And only with promo code FLOCK are you going to get the Derrick Henry half a rushing yard free bet. I mean, last month, y'all know we were able to get you the Cooper Kupp half a receiving yard one. We're mixing it up a little bit with the Derrick Henry one. Now, if you signed up for Underdog a year ago, you'll have it as long as you use promo code FLOCK, but it won't show up until Friday. So sign up before Friday. You will get this Derrick Henry line showing up then. But I think that should be it. Let me go ahead, pull up this live chat and start firing these up. Let me set this to subscriber only. And please, like I said, go down there and drop a like if you have not done so yet. Okay. So chat's set up to subscriber only. Let me get the link out to Underdog. Get this set up with a little poll. JMO asking who the number one waiver wire target is. I'd say the number one guy that we're going to be looking up for off the waiver wire this week, probably Garrett Wilson, right? I mean, if you're able to get Garrett Wilson off the waiver wire with Elijah Moore getting benched, I think that would be a very exciting play. I mean, I'm kind of surprised to see how many leagues Garrett Wilson is available in at all, to be honest with you. I mean, I assume a Garrett Wilson be rostered pretty much everywhere. I guess it's just because Garrett Wilson did have some dud performances over the past month or so, but still young ascending player, elite level prospect. I think Garrett Wilson is in a complete smash spot. But Dizzy coming out with the donation says, keep up the hustle. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. And yes, today was a very big day. I think this is like our 6th live stream. I think this is our 6th live stream of the day. Okay. Let me go ahead, and I'm sorry I should have done this before this stream, but I got to turn on this fan or I'm going to be sweating about 10 seconds in. So I apologize. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and turn this fan on, and then we'll get right to our next question regarding Jonathan Taylor. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so Kevin asking, who should we trade Jonathan Taylor for? Okay, so I'm not necessarily going to be advocating too much for you to go ahead and be trading away Jonathan Taylor right now. If you are looking at Taylor, I mean, last night on the live stream, people were comparing his value to literally someone like Ramondre Stevenson, Jamal Williams. Like, I thought it was pretty gross where people were taking Jonathan Taylor and just treating him as if he was a low-end RB2. While Jonathan Taylor does not look like the running back 1 overall that we thought he was at the time of fantasy football drafts, while he doesn't even look like a top 3 running back, while he maybe isn't even a top 5 guy, I still think that going forward, especially with the Nyheim Hines trade, Jonathan Taylor is going to be a low-end RB1 in fantasy. Now, if you were looking to go ahead and trade away Jonathan Taylor, I mean, whenever we had the Nyheim Hines trade, I asked a lot of people on the live stream a few different questions to gauge the new value of JT. And what we came away with is a lot of people are viewing him in a similar light to someone like Dalvin Cook, as someone like Joe Mixon. Those are the 2 most prevalent names. We asked Leonard Fournette. Everybody would rather have him over Fournette. So if you wanted to trade away Jonathan Taylor, which I'm not recommending you do it, but letting you know where his value is, guys like Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon right there. Now, Bradley says, trade up. I receive Najee, Amon-Ra, Nyheim Hines, Curtis Samuel, and we send Alexander Madison and Jerry Jeudy. Love the channel and all-day content. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friends. So if we are moving on from Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison to say Amon-Ra St. Brown, I probably prefer the running back in Minnesota. I love the idea of buying low on Amon-Ra St. Brown if we can. It's just specifically whenever we know there are so many RB injuries, you are looking at someone like Dalvin Cook being at a slight premium here. But if we are moving on from Jerry Jeudy to Najee Harris, we spent God knows how long talking about Jerry Jeudy being the actual wide receiver one here in Denver. And I think people are kind of coming around to it. If you look at the end of season numbers right now, doesn't really show that Jerry Jeudy's been a lot better than Courtland Sutton. But if you take into account that Jerry Jeudy got injured and we removed those 2 weeks, Jerry Jeudy's looked like the wide receiver one. It's still a very bad offense in Denver. So in reality, I think that we are probably going to sit here and say, Jerry Jeudy may be a sell-high guy if we can get a ton of value for him. Very fair deal. Can I ask everyone in the live chat this real quick? Please, we have over 200 people out in the live stream. First off, drop a like in the live stream. This is our 6th live stream of today. Second off, please let me know which direction you're going to be going in. Would you rather have Najee Harris, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nyheim Hines, and Curtis Samuel? Or Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison, and Jerry Jeudy? I think if you value Nyheim Hines and Curtis Samuel and you think you can include them in deals where you could get upgrades out somewhere else, probably going to go with the Najee and Amon-Ra St. Brown side. I think you probably could get a decent amount if you wanted to package together. Maybe like Nyheim Hines and Curtis Samuel, go get a wide receiver that's coming at a discount. Maybe go get someone like Godwin. Maybe go get a Michael Pittman Jr. Obviously, it's a little aggressive. I think we probably go ahead and take the Najee and Amon-Ra. And yeah, it looks like most people in the chat are saying Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. Now, Jay Killis says, should I trade Courtland Sutton for an early 2023 second? Now, at this time, I think it's about the right time for you to be able to say, okay, well, this 2023 pick is early. This 2023 pick is late. I got really annoyed during the offseason in Dynasty when people were trying to project out where those 2023, 2024 picks were going to land, saying, gosh, there's so much uncertainty. You're wasting your time looking into it like this. But nope, at this point, I think we could say, okay, if it's an early second, if the owner is 1-7 and you think it is a lock pick to either be the 201, the 202, if it's a super flex format, I would rather have the 2023 201, 202 over Courtland Sutton. And I know people are going to think that's blasphemy. I get it. I know people are going to hear it. But at the same time, if we are somewhat realistic here, what kind of roster does Courtland Sutton fit on? Serious question as well. Where does Courtland Sutton fit? Because I'm viewing Courtland Sutton as a wide receiver that is not good enough to make a real impact on a contending roster. He's a mid-wide receiver 3 in fantasy. He's a mid-wide receiver 3 really going to move the needle for you if you're a true contender in Dynasty. At the same time, while yes, he was drafted in 2018, he stayed all 4 years at SMU, so he's a little bit older. So are you that excited about Courtland Sutton on a rebuilding team? I think you could probably at least get a second and a third for Courtland Sutton. But if you could guarantee that's going to be like the 201, somewhat interesting. Now, Matt says we have 41 out of $100 in FAAB left. Second lowest left in the league. Is someone relying on Mostert with no luck at running back 2? Do we go all in on Jeff Wilson now? I don't think we're blowing the 41 FAAB that we have out of 100 on Jeff Wilson. If you wanted to go through, if you wanted to spend 16, 7, if you want to spend up to about half the remaining of your FAAB budget on Wilson, sure, go for it. I think it's a running back by committee here in Miami, and it is very difficult for me to answer any FAAB questions without actually seeing the guy that we're going to cut and how many teams are in the league. Now, Ali says, I got a trade offer where I'm getting Swift and giving away Tyler Boyd. Yes, we do it. I'm assuming that your league mate is on drugs. I know that DeAndre Swift hasn't been great, but are we really comparing him to Tyler Boyd at this time? Is that what this has come to? Yes, my friend, please go ahead and get DeAndre Swift for Tyler Boyd. D Porter coming out of the dono just says, keep grinding, Mason, flock it up. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and always being out here, my dude. And True Player, another person always out here, says, in desperate need of a running back, should we use the top waiver wire priority on Nyheim Hines? Also, can only roster 4 RBs. Hines, Edwards, Connor, Hunt, White, and Chuba Hubbard. So, essentially, we have to pick our last roster spot here from our running back position. So, the question is, do we use our top waiver wire claim on Nyheim Hines? And I'm assuming the way the question is worded, that means we have to go through and drop James Conner? even with the James Conner rib injury, even with, I would have assumed James Conner supposed to be back by now. I have no idea. Obviously, it's a very frustrating situation. I still probably prefer James Conner over Nyheim Hines, even if it's a full PPR format, especially if you are in a spot where you have to use your top waiver wire claim on it. I'm not using my top waiver wire claim to drop James Conner for Nyheim Hines. Give me Conner here. But now Julian says Bucks, Colts, Chiefs, or Vikings DST. Let me look up the Vegas totals that we have right now to try to get a better idea. Whenever we're going through, whenever we are choosing these defenses, what you want is you want a defense that is a heavy favorite. You want the opposing offense to have to drop back to pass a lot. You want to be able to generate sacks. You want to be able to generate turnovers. So Bucks, here they are going to be going up against the Los Angeles Rams, favored by 2.5 points in Tampa. The Colts are going up against New England. They're 5.5 point dogs. The Chiefs, I know they're massive favorites. They are 12.5 point favorites over Tennessee. And then our last one, the Minnesota Vikings defense. Maybe make the argument they're the most talented defensive unit out of this grouping. With Minnesota, where are they? They're 3.5 point favorites over Washington. I would say to either go with the Minnesota Vikings defense or the Kansas City Chiefs defense this week. Can we toss this to the live chat? Everybody in the chat. First off, we are 1 like away from hitting 100 likes in the live stream. Please go down there and drop a like. Second off, would you rather play the Kansas City Chiefs defense going up against the Tennessee Titans, or would you rather play the Minnesota Vikings defense going up against the Washington Commanders? Okay. AJ says Barkley for Hopkins and Cordell Patterson in a PPR league. Probably got to prefer Barkley. I'm a massive Hopkins guy. I think you still would rather have Barkley. Dr. Ryan Cecil says 10-team PPR league where we have Kelsey and Mahomes. Running backs are Saquon, Montgomery, Connor, J-Rob. Receivers are Lockett, Ayuk, Thomas, Wandale. Do we make any moves? I would like to go through and look to upgrade at that wide receiver spot. If we could package James Robinson and Brandon Ayuk and go get a long-term upgrade at wide receiver, someone like Chris Godwin, I would really like that. But looking at the chat, looks like most people are going with the Chiefs defense, which honestly I would do as well. If they're almost if they're almost 2 touchdown favorites in this contest, I think it's a safe spot to go with them. Magic Shroom says traded Ramondre for Mike Evans in a PPR format. What are your thoughts? I think it is a fair deal independent on your roster, my friend. But Desmond coming out with a massive donut. Let me skip ahead to this. We'll go right back to where we were. Thank you. We say have Lamar. Or maybe this is Jamar. I don't know. You list them where people usually list their quarterbacks. We're going to roll with Jamar Chase because that's what it says. JT, Mostert, Patterson, Carter, Hill, Keenan, Kirk, Kittle, Renfro, Pickens, Eno, Lamar, Hubbard. Should we package JT and Kittle to try to get CMC and pick up Dalton Schultz as the tight end and add my Keenan Allen for Amon-Ra St. Brown? So a couple different things here. Yes, I would trade Jonathan Taylor and George Kittle to get CMC and Dalton Schultz, even if you expect CMC to take a small step backwards. He's still in a complete smash spot here. Look at what he did this past week. I think the downgrade from Kittle to Schultz isn't going to be massive, knowing eventually you'll have CMC, Deebo Samuel, both full go in this San Francisco 49ers offense. I think Kittle probably takes a small hit. And then, hell yes, I would also trade away Keenan Allen for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I would do both sides of this trade. Of course, try to get the swap of Keenan for Amon-Ra St. Brown if possible. If not, no worries whatsoever, my friend. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, J-Max says, PBR trade Aaron Jones and Tyler Boyd for Jonathan Taylor and Chris Olave. Yes. I'd rather have Aaron Jones over Jonathan Taylor this week because you have Aaron Jones going up against the Detroit Lions. But long term, I still probably prefer JT if I'm going to be honest here. And also, if we're looking at Tyler Boyd for Chris Olave, give me Olave. I don't think we have to think about that too much, even with the Jamar Chase injury. Tommy says we have CMC and Chubb on bye this week. Hines, Dillon, and Otto Foreman are on the bench. Who should we be looking to sit? I think you bench Nyheim Hines. I think you play A.J. Dillon and Otto Foreman. Foreman coming off an incredible performance. Dillon going up against the Detroit Lions. The issue is, if we are going to be looking at Nyheim Hines, it's his first weekend here. Can we be that excited to play Nyheim Hines? His first weekend. Brian says, In a 10-team full PPR league, 5-3, we have Geno, JT, Jacobs, Walker, Lamb, Godwin, Boyd, Lazard, Deshaun Watson, and Tyler Higbee. Any moves? Love the content, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I mean, I actually really like the combo of Geno and Deshaun Watson. I think Geno's serviceable. Like, he's going to get you there. He's not someone, in my opinion, that we should be that excited about starting on a week-to-week basis. However, yeah, I mean, I'm completely fine to go through and have him as a stopgap for the long-term upgrade that we are going to be getting if we are going to be looking at Deshaun Watson. I actually really like that idea. And if we are looking at running back, JT, Jacobs, Walker, holding all three of the guys, Lamb, Godwin, Boyd, Lazard, holding them. I mean, obviously, if we could upgrade tight end, that'd be great. If you could package together, say, Boyd and Higbee and go get Kittle, sure, you do it. Go get Frymuth. Maybe that could be interesting as well with the Claypool trade, but I think you're in a good spot. Now, Thomas says trade Hill, Hurts, and Pierce for Jefferson, Herbert, and Swift. So going from Pierce to Swift, full PPR format, we'll call it a slight upgrade. Going from Tyreek Hill to Justin Jefferson, lateral move. Tyreek Hill is currently leading the NFL in receiving. Going from Jalen Hurts to Justin Herbert, probably a slight downgrade. Very fair deal, and it is going to be up to you. But Sam says Michael Thomas and Deontay Johnson for Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have George Pickens as well. Yeah, go get Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, it would seem as if Deontay Johnson gets a big bump up whenever we are looking at Chase Claypool being traded away, but Deontay's already been averaging about 10 targets a game. Like, there's not much that's going to be able to change the situation. It's not like the issue was he wasn't getting volume. The issue in the situation was the fact that this offense is just not good enough. Okay, but real quick, we have a couple massive donuts. Let me skip out of these. Oh my gosh, we have so many donuts. Thank you so much. Chronicles of Bannerman coming out says, hey Mason, in a 10-team full PPR 2-quarterback league, we have Lamar, Lawrence, and Brissett at quarterback. We have Mixon, Pierce, Montgomery, Foreman, Hubbard, Kupp, St. Brown, Davis, Cooks at receiver. I was going to drop Brissett for Fields, Hubbard for Kyron, Brooks for Myers. What are your thoughts? Okay, so I'm assuming that meant Cooks for Jacoby Myers. Yes, I would drop Brandon Cooks for Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers just came off a week where he had 12 targets, looking phenomenal. Yes, I would drop Jacoby Brissett for Justin Fields with Chase Claypool coming in, giving him another weapon here. And at the same time, I mean, if you are looking at Jacoby Brissett, obviously you have a short shelf life until Deshaun Watson is back in here. And if we are going to be looking at dropping Chuba Hubbard for Kyron Williams, personally, I'm not a Kyron Williams fan. Personally, I think that you don't waste the raw spot on Kyron in particular. I know why people are excited. Like, he was a good passing down running back at Notre Dame. However, if we are going to be fair with this, if you look historically at running backs as small as Kyron Williams, with running backs that are as slow as Kyron Williams, you cannot find a name in the NFL that panned out to provide you really any upside in fantasy. Cam Akers doesn't get traded. They're saying Akers going to be back in. I think this is going to be a 3-man backfield mess where I know a lot of people are excited about Kyron Williams, but based on our historical analysis we did of this NFL draft class, of our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, I couldn't find any historical comps that make sense for a Kyron Williams breakout here. So I'm not dying to go get Kyron, but thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's get back to Allie real quick. It says, in a 12-team PPR format, we're 4-4, 1-quarterback league where we have Kupp, Tyreek, Higgins, Alec Pierce, and Joshua Palmer. Running back, we have Singletary, Gus Edwards, J.D. McKissic, and J.K. Dobbins. Okay, so we're struggling at RB. Tight end, we have Higbee and Frymuth. Quarterback, we have Hurts and Watson. Should we make any moves? If so, for what? Yes, we need to upgrade running back. Devin Singletary was our running back 1. And that was not good in the first place. Now I don't think he's usable with Niemann's coming over. If we could go through and maybe package together someone like Tyler Higbee as well as Devin Singletary and go just get a respectable running back that we can actually put in the starting lineup. And then also go through and trade like Deshaun Watson and Gus Edwards. Same thing here. Go get a respectable running back that we can actually put in the starting lineup. I would really like that. Jalen Hurts is already through his bye. At the same time, I mean, I think you can rely on starting Pat Freiermuth every single week with the Chase Claypool trade. So specifically, when we are this week at running back, those are your two options. A, go through, and plan A, like we said, is to trade the backup quarterback, to trade the backup tight ends with other starting running backs in our lineup, and go and get immediate upgrades at the running back position and open up those roster spots. And if you're not able to do that, honestly, I still think we have to make a play to open up the roster spots. I still think that we would be in a position where we would probably be best off by dropping the backup quarterback, by dropping the backup tight end, and doing everything that we can to roster as many running backs on the bench as possible. Just to make it where if we have, say, someone like Khalil Herbert on the bench and Montgomery goes down, then all of a sudden you have someone we can start every single week. Just try to have as many of those backup running backs that are an injury away from actually being someone that's going to positively impact our lineup. But Mark Word coming out as always. Thank you. Says, love the content. Nobody does it better. We got a trade offer in a Happy BR 14-team league. We get CMC, Alec Pierce, and McCole Hardman. So essentially CMC. We give Waddle, Aaron Jones, and Tyler Algier. We're 5-3 in second place overall. Am I giving up too much? Okay, so 14-team league, obviously depth's going to matter a little bit more than it would otherwise. Like 10-team league, I'd say, oh, hell yeah, let's go get Christian McCaffrey. Let's not think twice about this. I think the Alec Pierce, Tyler Algier, McCole Hardman, those are such small pieces that I don't really even want to talk about them in this trade. They don't really make an impact. The question is, in that 14-team league, should we trade away Jalen Waddle and Aaron Jones for Christian McCaffrey? I would lean on the side of yes. However, if this is a 14-team league where you have multiple flex spots, where you're looking at the waiver wire with an extended bench, and maybe it's very hard to find any options to backfill the open roster spots, then all of a sudden you'd be a little bit more hesitant. But like I said, it is going to be kind of dependent on how comfortable you are with your depth. I think you're probably good to go. Yeah, let's go get CMC. Let's go get CMC. With Tyler Algier, doesn't have much value at all if Cordell Patterson's coming back in. But really quick, please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. I believe we are one like away now from hitting 200 likes in the stream. So please bear 200 like on the stream and help us out. Now, Brian says we have Pollard, Eckler, Saquon, Foreman. We got a trade offer for Cordell Patterson to give up down to Foreman. Is it a good deal? We have Tyreek, Olave, Juju, and Christian Kirk. Hard for me to tell you to go through and give up a running back that just had 3 rushing touchdowns for an injured 30-year-old running back. I like the idea of buying Cordell Patterson on the low. I think, however, if we're trading down to Foreman for Cordell Patterson, we can probably get a slight wide receiver upgrade at the same time. I'll try to squeeze a little bit more value out of it. Now, Chris says traded Hubbard and onto Foreman for Chris Godwin. How do we do? I like that. If it's a full BBR format and you end up running back depth, I like it. DVR says, should we pick up Khalil Herbert, E. Mines, or Kyron Williams? I would go ahead. I'd take Khalil Herbert. What is the craziest thing ever, and I'm not expecting this to happen going forward, but Khalil Herbert is the running back 6 in yards right now. He is the 6th player in the NFL in rushing yards. Like I said, I'm not expecting this to keep up, but I don't know. I think he is someone that should probably be on your roster. Now, Sam coming out with the massive dono. Let me skip ahead to this real quick. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, got offered Singletary and Debo for Austin Eckler. Keep Eckler. Should we do this? My running backs are Melvin Gordon, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, Nyheim Hines. Receivers are Higgins, London, Mooney, and Kadarius Toney. So we could definitely use an additional wide receiver here. But I would say with Devin Singletary, when Nyheim Hines coming over, I mean, I wasn't excited to play Devin Singletary in the first place. Now with the Hines trade, I have absolutely no interest whatsoever with Devin Singletary. And also with Deebo Samuel, this is another player that gets a considerable hit if you are looking at the fact that Christian McCaffrey is going to be taking so many, and I repeat, so many of these touches whenever you're actually in the red zone here that, I don't know, it's kind of an easy spot in my opinion to tell you to go through and to avoid trading away the number 1 running back in fantasy for Deebo Samuel and Devin Singletary. Now Thomas says we traded Hopkins for Pierce, because we lost Breece Hall and I'm a depressed roster with Hurts, Tyreek, Higgins, CMC, Pierce, Kelsey, Olave, Hollywood, first place. Am I okay? I personally would rather have DeAndre Hopkins over Dameon Pierce, even if you needed a running back. I feel like I would have rather tried to just find that running back off the waiver wire. If you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins since his return, like the man's like the wide receiver one. Like Hopkins is just going out there and straight up crushing it. So I probably would prefer Hopkins over Pierce. Now, True Player coming out again says roster 4. Okay, I apologize. Hines, Edwards, Connor, Hunt, White, Hubbard. We're going to go with Hunt, Connor, Hines, and Rachaad White with the assumption that it's a full PPR format. Edwards, Hubbard, they're not going to catch passes, and I think they will be both in running back by committees almost regardless. Okay. So, Big Ass Ryan coming out. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, we get Adams, Hollywood, and Latavius. We give up Olave, Ramadre, and Kareem Hunt. I have ETN, CMC, Barkley, Donta Foreman. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Godwin, Pittman. 6-2 in an 8-team league. 8-team league, we're looking for the best player in the deal. We're looking for the best player in the deal. That is Devontae Adams. Obviously, when we're rolling with ETN, CMC, Saquon Barkley, really don't care too much about Ramondre Stevenson in that 8-team format in particular. And if we are going to be looking at a wide receiver room with Jefferson, Godwin, and Pittman, like I said, I think depth does not matter much at all with this roster. You are definitely overpaying. I will say you are overpaying, but at the same time, where do we want to overpay? Where do we want to overpay for a stud that is going to be in that 8-team shallow PBR format, where really the only thing that matters is having the best guy in that lineup? I mean, you're always going to be able to get to the waiver wire to backfill. But real quick, we have a massive dono coming out from Steven. Thank you so much for everything, Steven. Let me go ahead. Let me make you a moderator. I know you're always out here in this live stream. PBR, half point per carry, 1 point per completion, 6-point pass and touchdown. Start 1 quarterback, 3 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and triple flex. We have Hurts, Diggs, Sutton, Thomas, Pickens, DJ Moore, Palmer, Samuel, Najee, Fournette, Algier, Sanders, Cordell, Herbert, Ryan Robinson, Rachaad White, Gerald Everett. Thoughts, and should we get Rondale Moore? Okay, so if Rondale Moore is available on the waiver wire, yes, I would go ahead. I'd go pick up Rondale Moore. I'd be willing to drop Curtis Samuel to get Rondale Moore. I really like the team, my friend. What I would be interested in somewhat is if we could go through, if we could get an upgrade at running back, where in this league, that's half point per carry. I know we've talked about this at length. I know you've already heard me say this a million times, my friend, but the goal of the league is flex as many running backs as you possibly can. I want 5 running backs in my starting lineup every single week here. I think that is something that you can potentially get. What I would be looking at is possibly a trade where we go ahead, we send away DJ Moore and Brian Robinson. Go get a running back upgrade that way. Brian Robinson and a 3-man running back by committee in Washington. I think that's a spot, especially if he doesn't catch passes. Ceiling's capped. I know he's an exciting player. He has a very exciting story, but freaking Gibson's out there playing over him. So if we could go get a running back upgrade that way, I would really like it. I mean, if we are looking at that points per carry league, someone that gets volume but is just absolutely disgusting, someone that people don't really like at all. Let me go ahead. Let me see if I can find his player prop here. Sorry, where is he? You know what we could actually look to do? Scratch that. Let's wait until after Thursday. After Thursday, let's wait. I'm going to just fill you in on a little secret. You're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles embarrassing the Houston Texans on national television. I think that Dameon Pierce probably gets a hit with his value. And if we were able to go through and trade away Brian Robinson and DJ Moore and get Dameon Pierce back after he gets embarrassed on Thursday night, even if he has a cap ceiling when it comes to his touchdowns, specifically in that half point per carry league, where we are primarily focusing in on just trying to get the raw touches in, I would like that. But let's find our next question coming out from Nelson. Says, traded Sanders for Singletary and Allen Lazard before the Hines trade. Should we be worried about Hines? Sorry if the trade sucks, but needed a decent wide receiver 3, and we're 6-2. Congrats on being 6-2, my friend. I don't like the deal. I mean, I'm not a Singletary fan. At the same time, I don't want to be trading away Miles Sanders right now, knowing that he's about to go up against the Houston Texans in a nationally televised game. I think you probably have him coming through and just absolutely crushing. So please don't trade away Miles Sanders. If anybody's watching this, keep Miles Sanders. Maybe if you want to sell him, you can wait and then sell him next week. I don't like the deal. I think Niemeyer's coming over is going to eat into Devin Singletary. We talked about this over the past few weeks now. Singletary going into the bye had been a top 5 running back in the NFL in snaps played. Despite being a top 5 running back in the NFL in snaps played, the man literally just was not scoring fantasy points in the best situation you could ever imagine. So, I mean, really, it was only a possibility to go downhill with the situation for Devin Singletary. What else are you supposed to get other than being in the best offense in the NFL, where at the same time, you are playing every single snap? I think Niemeyers comes in. Niemeyers plays in obvious passing down scenarios. I think this makes James Cook unusable. I think James Cook's not worth the roster spot. And yes, I wasted my time over the past few weeks because I was not a believer and I did not believe that the Bills coaching staff really liked Devin Singletary either. So we were wrong about James Cook. Niemeyer's essentially going to be what we thought James Cook was going to. And yes, this definitely negatively impacts Devin Singletary. But Dr. Ryan Cecil says, we also have Justin Jefferson still making the same move. Is this regarding what we said with the Ayuk trade? Yes, I think we will. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's still make that move with Brandon Ayuk. And now, Tyler coming out with a donation. Thank you, my friend, for supporting the channel. Let's go through and let's pull this up. It's a 12-team PPR format where we start 1 quarterback, 3 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end. We have Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker, Mostert, Carter, Diggs, Higgins, Ayuk, Samuel, Hollywood, and Andrews. What trades should we look to make with this kind of running back depth? I mean, I think what we could look to do is 2 things. A, you have the Miami Dolphins in a great matchup against the Chicago Bears this week. And also, I'd imagine that Jeff Wilson actually gets slowly involved here. I'm not imagining Jeff Wilson just has the largest role ever, his first week in Miami. I think it takes him a little bit of time. So you could look to do 2 things. Let's not make any trades with these running backs right now because I don't think you're going to be able to get anything for Mixon. You'd be selling Jacobs at a low point. I think the 2 guys you could potentially talk yourself into selling if you wanted to package him with maybe Brandon Ayuk for a wide receiver upgrade would be Miles Sanders as well as Raheem Mostert. But with him going up against the Houston Texans and the Chicago Bears this week, this is not going to be the time to go ahead and to make those trades. Instead, you probably want to be sitting on your hands and just waiting until after they crush, get those points in your starting lineup, and then be able to sell them for a little bit more next week. But eventually package them with IU, can get a wide receiver upgrade that way. But really quick, we are 2 likes away from hitting 300 likes in the live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like in the stream. Looks like about 40% of y'all have already done so though. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. And Money Patala says, I want to trade Mixon and Lamb for Stephon Diggs. What are you doing? Really does matter and how many teams in your league, how many flex spots you have, what kind of depth we're looking at with this roster. Very difficult to answer this question in a straight up vacuum. Now, Brett says we're 3-5 in a 10-team league. We get flex / tight end. We just traded Everett and Deontay for Schultz and Allen Lazard. Was this a good move? Going to stream tight end this week. Lazard, a good flex. Tyreek and Monroe and Brad, a wide receiver. I think Allen Lazard will be a fine flex when he is fully healthy. Yes, I think this is a good move. I love Deontay Johnson in fantasy drafts. I mean, you know my most drafted wide receiver, Jalen Waddle. But my second most drafted wide receiver was Deontay Johnson. And clearly that was a massive miss here. We were excited about the guaranteed target volume you had in Pittsburgh, and he has gotten the targets. The issue has not been that, hell, Chase Claypool was taking too many targets in this offense. No, you were still getting pretty much every single target. The man was averaging about 10 targets a game here. And that what I would be worried about with Deontay is the efficiency and not the target volume. So Claypool leaving, in my opinion, doesn't change much with Deontay Johnson. Trust me, I would love to come out here and say otherwise. I would love to come out here and try to spin that this is what finally unlocks Deontay. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case, my friend. And now our next question coming out from, I believe, Eric says, traded Hines for Isaiah Pacheco. Is it a smart move? Up to you. I think it's a fair trade. Can I ask everybody in the live chat right now? We're going to operate under the assumption that's a PPR league. I mean, unless you tell me otherwise, I'm just going to pretend everything you ask me is for a full PPR format. Please go to the live stream right now. Who would you rather have in fantasy football? Would you rather have Nyheim Hines or Isaiah Pacheco? Nyheim Hines or Isaiah Pacheco? And Spod says we traded Lenny and Montgomery for Evans and Raheem Mostert, who won. Very fair deal depending on your roster. I think Montgomery and Mostert are comparable going forward. Lenny and Evans are comparable depending on if you need a wide receiver or running back. I think it's a fair trade. Now, Pete Ellis says, is Deion Jackson worth a waiver wire pickup without Nyheim Hines? Yes, he is. I think he has a small role as a pass catcher on a week-to-week basis. He has upside for more if JT were to go down. But keep in mind, they also did go out of their way and trade for Zach Moss for a little bit of depth. But it looks like everybody in the live chat would rather have Nyheim Hines over Isaiah Pacheco. I know Pacheco was announced as the starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. But yeah, the last week we saw from him, I mean, he was used in a three-man committee. Now, Jordan says 7-1 in a full PPR format. We have Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook, Kamara, Pittman, Kirk, Waller, and then Ramadre in the flex spot. We have Pickens, Schultz, and Ayuk as well. Had a trade proposal of Waller and Ayuk for Amari Cooper. What are you thinking? I like overpaying for Amari Cooper right now. I mean, you 100% are overpaying for Amari if we are sending both Ayuk and Waller to get him. But obviously, we have the depth whenever we have Dalton Schultz down there on the bench. 7-1, we're only thinking about the fantasy football playoffs where we will be getting Deshaun Watson in for Amari Cooper. Specifically because we have this depth and we're thinking for the long term, I'm okay with the deal. I think we're paying a little bit too much, but I think that this is a fine spot to overpay. Okay. Now, Christian says in a 10-team full PPR format, we're 7-1. Should we start Taysom Hill or Mike Gesicki this week? Thanks for everything you do for us. Who's the better defense long-term, Dallas or the 49ers? I'll probably say Dallas. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys look like they have one of the best defenses in the entire NFL right now. And looking at Taysom Hill versus Mike Gesicki, I think we go Taysom Hill with the assumption of three things. No Jameis, no Thomas, no Jarvis. No Jameis, no Thomas, no Jarvis. We go Taysom. Now, Caesar says, traded Dak, Stevenson, Pierce for JT and Travis Etienne. The squad is Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, Godwin, Pittman, Pickens, London, Kelsey, Rashad White. Should we be making any moves? First off, phenomenal trade. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott's not doing anything for you. Going from Ramadre to Jonathan Taylor, upgrade. Dameon Pierce to Travis Etienne, upgrade. I think after this trade, you are in a smash spot. I don't see any clear sell high, guys. We were saying to sell high on Pickens last week, given the amount of target competition he had in Pittsburgh, combined with the fact that it was a very bad offense. But no, now George Pickens is way more appealing whenever you have Claypool gone, of course. Tyler says, I need a wide receiver due to a bye. The bench is Cook, Sutton, Pitts, Hunt. Who do we drop for Rondale Moore or Romeo Doubs this week in a full PPR format? If you wanted to drop Brandon Cooks for Romeo Doubs, I'm not going to fault you for it. If you wanted to drop Brandon Cooks for Romeo Doubs, I'm not going to fault you for it. I don't want to drop Kareem Hunt because we could see Kareem Hunt have a change in situation that turns him into a league-winning player. It is not impossible to see. I mean, all of a sudden, Nick Chubb going down, Kareem Hunt being an immediate top 10 running back in fantasy. What would have to happen for Brandon Cooks to be a league-winning player? What would have to happen for Brandon Cooks to show us any type of upside? Davis Mills gets visited by God himself tonight, where he decides that Davis Mills has been a good boy and he turns him into a good quarterback. I don't know what would have to happen for this situation to be saved with Brandon Cooks. I think he has a very cap ceiling. Now, Nico says CeeDee Lamb, Christian Kirk, or Tyler Lockett and Tyler Boyd. We're to go with CeeDee Lamb and Christian Kirk here. I know Lockett has been right there with Lamb. I do expect Lamb to be better going forward. Obviously, the issue is you're looking at a situation where the Dallas Cowboys offense is just so damn good. They just don't have to throw the ball in the second half. But now, Rishi coming out says, who can I shop for with Amari, or what other trades can I make? It's a 12-team app PPR format where we have Herbert, Eckler, Najee, Eno, Dillon. And at receiver, we have Diggs, Waddle, Amari, Devonta Smith, Josh Reynolds. Tight end, we have Evan Ingram and Hayden Hurst. Records of 4-4. Don't go ahead and trade Amari Cooper. I think with Amari, yes, you can get a lot in return, but please just wait until Watson comes back. If you were wanting to make a move with this team, I mean, here's the only trade. If you, for whatever reason, were super anti-Amari Cooper, that you hated Amari, you didn't want any part of this Cleveland Browns offense, yada, yada, yada. If that is your stance, I think Amari Cooper is someone we should look to hold on to. However, if that's the stance that you're going to take, and we have Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler on this team, you could decide, hell, I kind of want to go all in and just make the bet that the Los Angeles Chargers offense end up being one of the better offenses in the NFL. If you wanted to make that bet, sure, I'm going to be fine with it. Go trade Amari for Keenan, but reality, I want to be sitting here with Amari Cooper on our roster. Now, our next question coming out from Nick says, drop the backup quarterback Tua to get Freiermuth off the waiver wire. Herbert is the starter. I mean, obviously, plan A is see if we can get something for Tua Tagovailoa. If you're telling me Freiermuth is on the waiver wire, I want to do everything we can to go pick up Pat Freiermuth. I think he should have been rostered in the first place. Now, especially where you're in a spot where we have Chase Claypool getting traded, I really want to prioritize picking up Pat Freiermuth off the waiver wire, but I'd imagine we can trade Tua with another player to get an upgrade in the starting lineup and open up the roster spot that way. Now, our next question coming out from Verde says, 6-2 in fantasy. We have Allen, Eckler, Mostert, Godwin, Brown, Kelsey, Gibson, Hunt, Dulcich, Herbert, and Chase on the IR. Looking for any trade advice? 6-2 team. I think you're in a great spot. I mean, I think maybe if we wait a week and Raheem Mostert crushes the Chicago Bears, where you don't have Jeb Wilson fully up to speed, maybe you could go ahead and look to trade Raheem Mostert next week. In reality, I think you're just kind of sitting on your hands here, my friend. I mean, you're 6-2. We're waiting on Jamar Chase to come back in. I think you're in a great spot. But now Jack says, in a 12-team PPR format, should I trade Waddle or DeAndre Hopkins for Jamar Chase? Specifically, if you are 8-0, 7-1, 6-2, you can think about it. If you are a lock for the fantasy football playoffs at this point, you can. Now, Derek coming out, thank you, my friend, says, Mahomes, Henry, Dalvin, Evans, Smith, Everett, JT on the bench. We have Zeke, Judy, Lamb, Smith, Schultz, Debo. 4-4. I traded Ramondre and Pittman for JT and Debo. Was this a good move? Any trade ideas on how we can improve the wide receiver position? I don't love trading for Debo Samuel right now. I mean, if we are looking at Debo Samuel, I think Christian McCaffrey severely caps his overall upside. But hell yeah, I mean, going and getting Jonathan Taylor post the Mines trade, I do really like it. I like the price point that we paid. If we were looking at upgrading our wide receiver spot right now, we're rolling with Evans and Debo in the starting lineup at the moment. You have Lamb as well. If we have Lamb, Evans, and Debo, I think that we are fine at wide receiver. We really don't have to make any moves. If we could somehow, some way trade for Amon-Ra St. Brown, then sure. Like if you could trade Devonta Smith and Debo Samuel and go get Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would really like that. But in reality, great trade, great roster. I think you're in a great spot, my friend. Now, real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 400 likes in the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, I know you've probably dropped 10 likes on our videos already today, and I truly am appreciative for it. But don't get tired. Don't give up on me just yet. This is our, 10th video today. Go down there, drop a like on the live stream for us. Help us get to 400. Looks like about half of y'all have already done it, so thank you so much. And our next question coming out from Trailer Park Boys, who says, running backs are JT, Etienne, Kamara, Patterson. Should I pair one of these with a receiver to go get an upgrade or hold on to them for depth? Receivers are Lamb, Brown, Keenan, and Amari. Nope, hold on to him. I think maybe long-term we can be looking to move Kamara if something changes in the situation where we get Thomas, Jarvis, Winston back in. I think that would be a bad situation for Alvin Kamara. But at this moment, I think you're in a good spot. At this moment, I think you are in a very good spot. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Derek again says, Rondale Moore, Garrett Wilson, or Chase Claypool. Who should I drop or try to trade with Dalton Schultz or Gerald Everett? Should I get Edmonds and drop Everett? Love the videos. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. Probably can't do this right now because you have Dalton Schultz on the bye, so probably going to have to play Gerald Everett this week. You're going to have a second tight end on your team regardless. If we are looking at trading or dropping someone out of Rondale Moore, Garrett Wilson, Chase Claypool is going to be the guy that I'm looking to sell. I know that Claypool is exciting. I know a lot of people are looking at a spot where they want to root for Justin Fields. I kind of want to say I get it, but in reality, I don't know. Because we have God knows how many, and I repeat, God knows how many irrational Chicago Bears fans when it comes to Justin Fields. I think the passing volume is going to be severely capped. I think you can be maybe excited about Justin Fields himself from a fantasy football point of view. Just given the fact that he is going to have rushing upside. But not the passing volume here. So I would go Claypool's the lowest out of this. Nicholas says, $1,000 high stakes league, Michael Carter or George Pickens used the waiver wire claim on half PPR format. Thank you for trusting me with this, my friend. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take George Pickens. Pickens was someone we were saying to sell last week because, hell, he looked very good. People were very excited, but he wasn't getting the target volume in a very bad offense. It's kind of a tough spot for George Pickens. However, now that you get Claypool off this roster, it's a completely different scenario where I think you are significantly more excited about Pickens. Let's go pick him up. But oh my gosh, we have a red donation. We have a $100 dono coming out from Tyler. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. It says 3 and 5 need help bad. Quarterback, we have Herbert and Tua. Nervous about Justin Herbert. Running back, we have Connor, Eno, Saquon, Hunt, Patterson. Okay, my man, why are you scaring us? Going Connor and Eno as your first two guys, holding off on Saquon Barkley for whatever reason until the third. Kareem Hunt, Cordell Patterson on the IR. Receiver, we have Adams, Hopkins, Smith, Samuel, Jameson. Tight end, we have Schultz, Higbee. Not going to lie to you, don't care about your kicker. People don't trade. Waiver wire, Gus, Rondale Moore, Kareem Hunt, and Eno. Which one should we drop? Okay, so you're asking, which guy should we drop between Eno Benjamin and Kareem Hunt for either Gus Edwards or Rondale Moore? Personally, what I would be looking to do is I would be looking to drop Eno Benjamin. With Eno Benjamin, not only are we probably going to get back James Conner this week, but at the same time, I mean, we talked about this previously. With Eno Benjamin, why you were very excited a few weeks back and why you shouldn't have been as excited this week is the presence of Darrell Williams. If Darrell Williams as well as James Conner are both out of this offense, then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you can easily project a ridiculous amount of volume as a pass catcher, as a rusher. I mean, pretty much all up and down the field. When it comes to Eno. But if you get Darrell Williams in, and then at the same time, we are going to be in a situation where James Conner's probably going to be coming out. Let's drop Eno Benjamin. Let's go get Rondale Moore. Because if we are looking at Gus Edwards, I understand why someone would be excited about Gus Edwards. Obviously, you have the Dobbins injury. Obviously, projects to be the starting running back in Baltimore. But a couple things going on. A, Gus Edwards is injured. And B, with Gus Edwards, even if he's not injured, the man's in a 3-man running back by committee where he doesn't catch passes. You are going to get touches. You are going to get snaps going over in the direction of Justice Hill, Kenyon Drake, Gus Edwards. You're eventually going to get Dobbins back in here as well. So I'm not a massive fan whenever it comes to Gus Edwards and the fantasy football value that he has. So now we spent a lot of time on this. You're telling us people in your league don't make trades. But I think if we were looking to make some moves, Let's drop Benjamin with James Conner, hopefully coming back this week. Even if he doesn't, Darrell Williams is already back. And let's go pick up Rondale Moore over Gus Edwards. Okay. Now, AJ says 12-team at PPR format. We have Etienne, Swift, Diggs, Adams, Ramondre, Foreman, Jamal. I'm assuming maybe that's Jameson. We're going to go Jamal. Jacoby, Herbert, need to start 6. We also have Burrow, Greg Dulcich, who's a good target for Williams, Myers package. Thanks, man. Love the content. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. If you wanted to go through, if you wanted to trade away Jamal Williams and Jacoby Myers, go get a wide receiver in return. If you could get Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you could get Chris Godwin, that'd be great. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown's obviously way higher. I'm saying Chris Godwin as that backup. I would be surprised if you could get St. Brown. So if we are going to be looking at this, I think that we need to start Etienne, Swift, Diggs, Adams, Ramondre, duh. The question is with that 5th spot, are we going down to Foreman, Jacoby Myers, Khalil Herbert, or Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams has crushed it so far this season. Jamal Williams getting multiple touchdowns this past week as well. But I do think that they continue to ramp up DeAndre Swift as he is closer to returning. Further away from his initial injury. So if we assume that DeAndre Swift gets ramped up a bit, and maybe we get a slight step back when it comes to Jamal Williams, I think if we had to pick a running back here, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to take Donta Foreman. Now, Mike says, in a Dynasty League, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and Kenyon Drake for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gabriel Davis, who wins. Dynasty fantasy football format, go get Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gabriel Davis. Not even freaking close. Dynasty format, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gabriel Davis, not even close. Corbin says, happy BR format trade Eckler and Jacoby for Diggs and Cordell Patterson. We have Barkley, Etienne, Ramondre, Deontay, and Devonta Smith. So it does somewhat make sense on your roster. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is right there. It's the wide receiver 1 so far this season. Now, I will be a little hesitant to tell anybody to ever go through and trade away Austin Eckler. If you are looking at Austin Eckler, this is a running back that is the running back 1 in fantasy, and it's not that close right now either. Austin Eckler's the running back 1, averaging 25 points per game in a PPR format. It's a fair deal. I understand why you'd want to do it based on your roster. I would try to solve the need for the position, however, without having to give up the running back 1 in fantasy. But you are getting takes. You are getting an elite level player, so I'm not going to fault you at all. Trailer Park Boys coming out again. Thank you. Says, out of questions for now, just wanted to say thanks for all you do. You've seriously changed my outlook on fantasy football and have been a huge help. We all love you. Thank you so much, my man, for always hanging out with us in the live stream. I do appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate you spending every single day. I mean, a little time out of your day to come hang out with me. I mean, you know that there's nothing more that I enjoy more in life than fantasy football. I mean, I am truly, truly passionate about it. And the fact that y'all are willing to come out and talk about fantasy with me every single day is just absolutely crazy. And also the willing that you're able to go down there and drop a like on this live stream. We are 1 like away from hitting 500 likes on the stream. So please, if you have not done so already, fix your life. Go down there, drop a like on the stream. It does help us out a ton. Okay. So now our next question coming out from Dalton says, 10-team BBR league. We have Myers, DJ Moore, and Donta Foreman for Jonathan Taylor. Hell yeah, go get JT. The recovery says, go Flock, would you drop Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Khalil Herbert? I'm going to ask everyone in the live chat this right now. You have Khalil Herbert 6th in the NFL in rushing. Literally, Khalil Herbert is 6th in the NFL in rushing yards. It doesn't sound like it should be true. You can go and fact check me on it. It's true. It's crazy to say he's expanding his role every single week here. I am not as excited about Khalil Herbert as a lot of other people because I think this is a split backfield in I don't want to say a very bad offense. It's a split backfield in a bad offense where Khalil Herbert just simply does not get any targets out of this backfield. He does not get targeted at all. So I'm not that excited about Khalil Herbert, but he's been crushing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Please, everybody in the live chat, please spam. Who would you rather have, Khalil Herbert or Clyde Edwards-Helaire rest of season? Okay. Now, Huzzah says, trade Keenan Allen for Leonard Fournette and Christian Kirk. Love Keenan Allen, but I would trade him for Fournette and Kirk. Seb says, you're a legend. PBR, I'm trading Diggs, Aaron Jones, Ertz, Cousins for Kelsey, Lamar, and Pittman. Keep up the fantastic work. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. Going from Diggs to Kelsey, slight downgrade. Jones to Lamar, upgrade. Ertz and Cousins to Pittman, upgrade. I like it. I mean, I'm completely fine with it. I am hesitant to trade away Stephon Diggs, but you are getting back someone that is the tight end 1 overall, a quarterback that could potentially be the quarterback 1 overall, so I do like it. Okay, so it looks like most people would rather have Khalil Herbert in the live chat here over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And now Isaiah says, do I drop Leonard Fournette for Aaron Jones? Oh, do I trade Leonard Fournette for Aaron Jones? I was going to ask, what kind of league are you playing in if this is a real question? I wouldn't mind trading Fournette for Aaron Jones if I were you. I think both running backs you need to be somewhat concerned about. I mean, quick side note, if we had to choose someone for this week, I think that you probably have Aaron Jones in a smash spot going up against the Detroit Lions. So if you wanted to go do this, I'm not going to fault you for it. Okay, so now our next question coming out from Caesar says 6-2 in a 10-team full PBR league, by the way. Also have Rondell Moore. Okay, so let's go back to what Caesar's question was. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I don't care what the situation is. That was a great trade regardless. And Steven says, Mason forgot to mention I had Kyron Williams as well. Can't start 5 flex. One is wide receiver / tight end. Trade for Pierce for DJ Moore and Brian Robinson. Yes, I would still make that trade, my friend. Kyron Williams not making a massive difference for me. If I'm going to be honest, I think Kyron Williams is a little bit too hyped here as a small, slow running back, where I think it's going to be a 3-man running back by committee with Cam Akers not getting traded. Now, Sandy says, A. Mason traded for Justin Herbert and Tyler Higbee, gave away DeAndre Hopkins and Kareem Hunt. My quarterbacks were Derek Carr and Zach Wilson. What are your thoughts? My other wide receivers are Adams and A.J. Brown. Okay. I don't like it. I 100% agree that we needed a quarterback in here. You were not excited about starting freaking Derek Carr and Russell Wilson. About one of the gross spots we can imagine. I mean, it kind of just comes down to what we are looking at in terms of Hopkins for Justin Herbert. Herbert is definitely, still an elite level quarterback in my eyes. But when you have the injury to Mike Williams, I think we have to lower our expectations a bit. DeAndre Hopkins looks like a locked and loaded top 5 wide receiver at this point. So I'm a little bit worried about it. Nico says, trade Waddle and Pittman for Dalvin Cook and DK Metcalf. We have Evans, Pickens, Boyd, Aaron Jones, Khalil Herbert, and Najee Harris. Trade I asked yesterday failed. Thanks though. Okay, so if we were going to look at this, Pittman to DK, call it a lateral move. Really just up to you on who you want. Waddle for Dalvin Cook. I actually kind of prefer Waddle a bit, but keep in mind he's my most drafted wide receiver. I'm a little bit biased here. I think it makes sense. However, if we're looking at this team needing a running back to just go through and trade for Dalvin Cook, where you do have a high floor ceiling combo. And Dalvin Cook looks like he's healthy. So aren't too much concerns here. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, Reed Watkins, always out here. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and make you a moderator in this live stream. I'm also going to make Sam a moderator in this live stream. Y'all are both always out here. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to, but if you see someone spamming the same question over and over again, you can tell them, hey, knock it out. If they don't knock it off, then go ahead and just put user in timeout and it'll mute them for about 5 minutes. But it says we have Hurts, Stevenson, Taylor, Metcalf, Thielen, Hawkinson, and Raheem Mostert. Trades definitely making things interesting. We're 3-4. Any moves to make? I am worried about Adam Thielen. I would really like to go out there and get an upgrade at that wide receiver 2 spot. If we have maybe another wide receiver down there on the bench, someone like Darnell Mooney or Chase Claypool, and could package him with Adam Thielen to go get a wide receiver like Chris Godwin, I personally would really like that, because the issue that you're going to find, in my opinion, when it comes to Adam Thielen, what you need is the red zone role. What you're relying on is that he gets every single target in the red zone. that he has that touchdown upside. I think Hawkinson coming over does really hurt him. I do not want to be starting Adam Thielen as a wide receiver 2 right now. Now, Verde's coming out again, says 10-team full PPR format, looking for a running back. We have Eckler, Mostert, Godwin, Brown, Kelsey, Gibson, Hunt, Dulcich, Herbert, and Chase on the IR. If you were looking for a running back, my friend, I think we already answered this for you, but I would go ahead and I would look to possibly move Raheem Mostert after this next week. Jeff Wilson, not going to have a massive role his first week in here. A great matchup against the Chicago Bears. I think Raheem Mostert smashes this week, and we could possibly look to sell high next. Now, Sam says, we need running backs, but with Mixon, it kind of hurts as our RB1. We have Hunt, Anderson, Carter, and Harris. I want to package 2 receivers, but it's hard. When they want Mixon in that deal, flock up, and who dat? My wide receiver depth is deep. Okay. So if we were, obviously, if we need running back, why the hell are we trading away Mixon? You're not really getting anything in return for Mixon. If we were looking at some running backs that I think we could go through and potentially target, if you had 2 wide receivers and we could trade them in a package deal for DeAndre Swift in a full PPR format, I'd like that. Go get Josh Jacobs with the Raiders getting shut out this past week. I think they'll be better going forward. And a super deep call that, I was not a fan of coming into the seasons, and he has been absolutely garbage. But because he has been absolutely garbage, he is worth absolutely nothing, and it would be extremely cheap to go through and trade for him. Najee Harris. With Najee, if you look at how bad he has been, 100%, it's hard to go through and make any excuses for him. It's hard to make any excuses. You don't want to. But we can say, to be fair, he's had some of the worst matchups you're ever going to find. Claypool leaving this offense maybe helps out Najee a little bit. I don't want to overreact, but if you're having a hard time getting any running backs, I think he is someone that's completely free that you could be looking at right now. Now, Brett says, also trying to get Rondale Moore off the waiver wires. So it'd probably be Rondale Moore or Allen Lazard at the flex spot. Until we see Allen Lazard back from this shoulder injury, I would be fine starting Rondale Moore at the flex. Tosh says, we traded Lamar for Amon-Ra St. Brown in a PPR league where we have Deshaun Watson on the bench, currently 6-2. Did we win the deal? I think it's a fair trade. I am willing to go ahead and make it with the injuries that you have to both Mark Andrews as well as Rashad Bateman, if you think these injuries linger for a while. Felipe says, traded Donta Foreman and Jamal Williams for Jonathan Taylor. How? Great deal. Blake says, I traded Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mike Evans, and Tyler Higbee for Tom Brady, Saquon Barkley, Najee Harris, and Deebo Samuel. Was this a good move? So going from Josh Allen to Tom Brady, massive downgrade. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Najee Harris, slight upgrade. Evans to Barkley, massive upgrade. Higbee to Deebo, upgrade. Because we're getting Saquon Barkley back in return, I'm okay with it. Tom Brady looks like garbage if we are looking at a real life perspective and the probability that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a significant run. Like, Brady does not look like himself. But from a fantasy football standpoint, Tom Brady currently is second in the NFL in passing yards. Just crazy to think about. And Nathan says we have Jefferson, Kupp, and Waddle. I had a weak running back 2, including a weak running back 1, which is Leonard Fournette. I traded Evans for Kenneth Walker. Did we make a good deal here? Hell yes. You have Jefferson, Kupp, and Waddle. You have the best wide receiver core in the league. Trading Mike Evans for Kenneth Walker is going to be a no-brainer, my friend. Kenneth Walker looks phenomenal. Nathan says, the bye week's killing me. Should we start A.J. Dillon, Brian Robinson, or Alexander Madison? A.J. Dillon, in my opinion, easily. You have A.J. Dillon in a very good matchup going up against the Detroit Lions. Brian Robinson in a very bad offense with Brian Robinson as well. This is a spot where he just lost the starting job to Antonio Gibson. Even if you want to make the argument that that's not the case, even if you want to make the argument that he's still the starter here, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's in a 3-man committee in one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I would make the argument it doesn't. And Kobe says, actually, sorry, we are 1 like away from hitting 600 likes in the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. It does help us out a ton. And Kobe says, PBR, start one at the flex. We have Pickens, Michael Carter, Montgomery, or Devin Duvernay. Pickens is on bye this week. You're not going to be able to go in that direction. Michael Carter is going up against the Bills. I want to avoid that. Going to come down to David Montgomery or Devin Duvernay. Duvernay, probably a good spot with no Andrews and Bateman. I still go Montgomery. Do I trade Mixon and or Pierce? I traded Stevenson and Sutton for Amari. I think you can get more for Stevenson. 100% I think you can get more for Stevenson. And no, I would not trade Joe Mixon right now. If you wanted to move Dameon Pierce, I would not be opposed to it. I mean, y'all know I haven't really ever been a massive fan of Dameon Pierce. I wish I had him in more leagues. Trust me, he still was a phenomenal pick. But he was a sell-high guy for us earlier in the year, just given the fact that this is one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I don't see an elite level ceiling given the Houston Texans holding him back, but you would be selling at a low point. I will say that. You would be selling at a low point if you decided to go ahead and make that move. Okay. Now, Daniel says, Mason, which of these trades would you make? We have Michael Thomas and Gus Edwards for T. Higgins. Yes. Khalil Herbert and Michael Thomas for Jamar Chase. Yes. DeAndre Swift and Kadarius Toney for Jamar Chase. No. I mean, we would make it in general, but not if we have these other two options. I think the number one trade that we're going to make is if we have a winning record, if we are minimum 5-3, you trade Khalil Herbert and Michael Thomas for Jamar Chase. If you have a losing record and we need points in the starting lineup immediately, we trade Michael Thomas and Gus Edwards for T. Higgins. Okay. Chris says, any value left with Damian Harris in a non-PPR format? Non-PPR format in particular, yes. I have an offer presented to send Andrews and Harris for my Travis Kelce. Oh, no, we're definitely going to take Kelce there. Other backs are Lenny, Zeke, Foreman, Jeff Wilson, and Khalil Herbert. Yeah, no, roll with Kelce over Damian Harris and Mark Andrews. I mean, he has value left in terms of he's worth a roster spot. Now, Ramu says, Fields or Kirk Cousins this week. Let me pull up the over-unders with these games. I mean, I would imagine that you have a very high-scoring contest here between Miami and Chicago. I mean, that game's supposed to have 45.5 points. Supposed to be a higher-scoring contest than the Minnesota Vikings and Washington game. I would say specifically in a 4-point passing touchdown format. Like I said, in a 4-point passing touchdown league, I would be fine if you wanted to go through, if you wanted to start Justin Fields over him. I am still not a massive fan of Justin Fields. I still think that Justin Fields is overvalued in fantasy, if we're going to be honest. But Fields does have rushing upside. He does have rushing upside. Let's go ahead and let's take him. Now, Kodiak says, 12-team PPR format. Do I give Lenny, Jefferson, and Lazard for Lamb, Higgins, and Mark Andrews? Lost Mike Williams due to injury, but Cordell Patterson's coming back. Andrews' injury bug worries me. I would say no. I mean, if you were looking at freaking Justin Jefferson, he does fall in line of one of those truly elite level assets that if we are trading him away, it needs to be a clear win where we're not second guessing ourselves at all. I don't think that's this deal. Now, Isaiah coming out, thank you, my friend, says we're 2-6 in a 10-team PPR format. We have Daniel Jones, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Godwin, JT Swift, Andrews, Connor, Hunt, Rashad White, Deshaun Watson, picking up Justin Fields for the bye week. Any other moves or stay put? The move you have to make is you have to trade Deshaun Watson. If you're telling me we're in last place here, I think Deshaun Watson does have a lot of upside. But at the same time, you're going to trade him for legitimately just anything. I repeat, anything you could get. I mean, I know you're not going to get a lot. I know we're selling at a discount. But if we could go through and make a similar deal to what we just saw with like the Mark Andrews and Damian Harris to get Travis Kelce, if we could go maybe Mark Andrews and Deshaun Watson and go get Kelce on this roster where we need points in the starting lineup right this second, I would really like that. Also, I mean, it would kind of save us from having to roster 3 quarterbacks at this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at our next question coming out from Adrian. Says, trade Pittman for Amari Cooper. Tired of disappointment. I would trade Pittman for Amari. I mean, if we're looking at this, I think you can maybe make the argument that Michael Pittman is a better option than Amari straight up for maybe the next month. However, if we are looking at long-term here, I think that they are very close for right now. And when you'll get Deshaun Watson back in the second half of the year, I mean, I easily prefer Amari with Watson over Michael Pittman. So yes, let's go ahead and let's make this deal. Beast Mo says Deontay and Kenneth Walker for Mahomes, Dillon, and Olave. So I'd rather have Olave over Deontay, Mahomes, and Dillon versus Kenneth Walker. Going to depend on your roster. Might sound dumb, but I love Kenneth Walker. I have Dak, and I need the win. I think it is not dumb at all. I think it is going to be up to you. I'd say I'd probably go Mahomes, Olave, and Dillon if we can go through, if we can turn around and sell Dak Prescott in a package and maybe get a little bit more. Obviously, Dak on the bye this week. You're telling us that we need this win. Now, Peppa Pig coming out says, hey, Mason, should we trade Kittle and Godwin to get Amon-Ra St. Brown? I would say probably not. I mean, I'm fine if you wanted to go through and trade Kittle. Now that we have, Debo, Ayuk, and CMC all getting targets here. Well, like, it is a little scary. I think we can get a little more value, however, with how bad the tight end position is currently. CJ says, should we sell Pierce for JT or Joe Mixon? Yes, I would sell Dameon Pierce for either player. William says, would you trade Saquon for Tyreek/Diggs in a 12-team league? Other receivers are Amari, Terry, Pickens. Running backs are Connor, Sanders, Algier, currently 5-3. If you're getting both Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs, yes, you do this in a heartbeat. If you're only getting one receiver, no, roll with Saquon Barkley. Chris says Eno and Nick Folk for Claypool and Damian Harris. I know Folk scored 1 million points this past week. I'm not a kicker expert. I don't want to be trying to pretend like I have the secret formula to how to evaluate these kickers. I mean, I would probably say go Claypool and Harris, knowing that Eno's in a situation where both Darrell Williams and James Conner are back. Now, Smitty coming out says, in a 12-team full PPR format, 5-3, lost Brees, so the running backs currently are JT, Foreman, Gus. Do I trade Foreman for Mixon and Rondale Moore? Yes, I 100% would. Wide receiver one's Godwin, so not great at receiver either, but we have Allen and Andrews. So obviously, Mixon, very bad this past week, and at the same time, if you are going to be looking at what you had with Donta Foreman going through and crushing with 3 freaking touchdowns. 3 freaking touchdowns. I understand why someone would want to go ahead and roll with them. I think that Carolina is going to be much worse than Cincinnati going forward. Yes, Carolina dropped 34 points and Cincinnati couldn't score 20. I think that was a 1-week sample. I think Cincinnati gets back to where they've been. I think Carolina falls back to earth. Logan says, after Coop's bye, should I trade Terry McLaurin for him? Hell yes, I would trade Terry McLaurin for him. Trade Terry McLaurin for him now. Okay. But really quick, we are 3 likes away from hitting 700 likes in the live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. It does help us out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We have done, 10 live streams at this point, something ridiculous today. So please go down there and drop a like. I don't think we've ever had this many live streams in a single day, outside of the NFL draft, of course. But old Greg says, in a 10-team PPR format where we have Mahomes, JT, CMC, Connor, Kupp, Olave, Kelsey. The bench is Greg Dulcich, George Pickens, Cordell Patterson, Jacoby Myers. Do we trade Kelsey and Olave or Kupp straight up for Austin Eckler, or do we just sit tight? Okay. I think Kelsey and Olave for Eckler is a fair deal, especially where we need a second running back. Starting. Actually, no, we have JT and CMC. We're fine, RB. Sorry. But even if it's a fair deal, I'm very hesitant to tell you to make this move because we are currently sitting with Kelsey and Mahomes stacked up. I love having that elite quarterback, that elite tight end. I don't want to trade away Kupp for Eckler either. I think you have a great roster. I would tell you to probably trade Kelsey and Olave and go out there and maybe get Eckler. Eckler's phenomenal. The issue is, like we said, you're in a situation where you have Mahomes. We're already betting on this offense. Let's keep Mahomes and Kelsey together. Misa says, what do we do with Brandon Cooks and Deontay Johnson? No one wants him. I believe you. Nobody wants him. I think you probably got to hold him. And I drafted Deontay everywhere. I mean, I didn't like Brandon Cooks in fantasy this year because it was easy to see how bad, the Houston Texans are going to be. I didn't realize that Pittsburgh was going to be this bad. And I don't think the Claypool trade helps Deontay that much, if I'm going to be honest, either. Logan says, Kenyon Drake or Isaiah Pacheco this week? We're going to go Drake, assuming Gus Edwards misses. Thomas says, trade Olave and Pierce for Cook. My flex would be Kirk. I would hold on to Chris Olave and Dameon Pierce for Dalvin Cook, even though it's going to be real ugly with Dameon Pierce this week going up against Philadelphia. OJ's Broncos says, Romeo or Palmer or London in a full PPR format, assuming that we have these continued injuries to the Green Bay Packers wide receivers. You probably just have to go ahead and take Romeo Doubs, right? I think you just have to go ahead and take Romeo Doubs. Now, Fernandez says, in a 12-team league, we have Brady, Tua, Pierce, Eno, Jamal, J-Rob, Rashad White, Kyron Williams, Kupp, Higgins, Evans, Cooks, Kelsey. I could trade Kelsey for Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley. Okay, so I don't want to trade away Travis Kelsey, but I will make this deal. If you're telling me right now that we are starting freaking Jamal Williams as our running back too, and we could trade Kelsey and get Saquon Barkley, arguably someone that could be the running back one rest of season, and Dallas Goedert in return, where Goddard looks like a locked and loaded top 5 tight end as well. I really do like that, my friend. I really do. Okay, so now our next question coming out from Michael says, I moved Foreman and Pittman for Elijah Moore and a 2023 first. Hell, I'm assuming this is a dynasty format. I don't want to come out here and act like Elijah Moore is some massive buy low guy in Dynasty. There are reasons to be concerned, but hell, getting a 2023 first for Michael Pittman, smash Donta Foreman in Dynasty fantasy football really doesn't have any long-term value. I'd rather have Elijah Moore over Donta Foreman in Dynasty. Now, Cowboy Rare says, should I trade Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs for CMC and A.J. Brown? My running backs are Chubb, Kenneth Walker, and Josh Jacobs. My receivers are Waddle, Tyreek, Adams, and Michael Pittman. Okay, so going from Jacobs to CMC, easy upgrade. Easy upgrade. Going from Adams to A.J. Brown, even if I think Adams is a massive buy low guy, even if I think Adams will be better going forward, I still probably go with the combo of CMC and A.J. Brown over Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Jacobs, my most drafted running back. Trust me, I'm sending up a prayer every night that Josh Jacobs does outscore Christian McCaffrey rest of season. But in reality, I don't think these guys are close. I think you probably just have CMC breaking fantasy football if this past week is any indication of what to expect. Now, real quick, I realized that I have not pulled up this live stream on my phone to drop a like in the stream, so let me fix that ASAP. Here's what I'm going to show you to do, all right? Here's our live stream. You click it. You go to this bad boy. Press that thumbs up button. When you press that thumbs up button, it helps me. I know it takes a lot of effort on your end. I get it. But this is our about 10th live stream of the day. So if you could drop that like, if you could subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. And now our next question coming out from Colin says, in a 10-team full PPR format, we have Devonta Smith for Leonard Fournette. Yeah, go get Fournette, even if he is very concerning. I'm hurting a bit at running back where we've Etienne, Montgomery, Williams, and Hunt. I don't think you're hurting that bad at running back if we have Travis Etienne. But yeah, straight Devonta Smith for Leonard Fournette, assuming it's a redraft league. Now, Steven says, should I pick up Ward as an insurance policy for Najee Harris? I would say no. Looking at your roster, I probably would hold off on picking up Jaylen Warren. Like if you wanted to pick up Jaylen Warren, I mean, if you were dying to do it, just wait. Just wait. I mean, they're on bye this week. I don't think you're going to be in a situation where all of a sudden, I mean, maybe Najee Harris has something happen during the bye that everybody's rushing to get. I'm sorry, 1 second. I don't think everybody's going to be going out there and rushing to get Jaylen Warren. Man, nothing's going to happen here in the bye. If you really want to do it, wait a week. If you really want to do it, wait a week. Don't waste a roster spot this week. Killing DeVillin says, should we trade Godwin for DeAndre Swift? Do you need a running back? I'm completely fine with that move, my friend. Tony says, traded Devontae Adams for Saquon Barkley. I mean, hell, I think Devontae Adams is a clear buy low guy, but what I've noticed a lot this year compared to previous seasons is people are significantly more willing to go out of their way and sell these players on buy at a significant discount. For whatever reason, people are willing to sell players when they're on buy just at a significant discount. Yeah, go get Barkley. Like, we've seen some crazy Barkley deals lately on this live stream. JG says, pick up Myers or D Mines in a full PPR format. I mean, I'd probably go Myers. The man had 12 targets the past week. I'm very excited about Hines. Like, I think from a real life football fan perspective, he's going to make the Buffalo Bills offense even more exciting to watch if that is somehow possible. But I don't know what the true upside is from a fantasy football standpoint. Now, McSleepy says, we have Allen, CMC, Herbert, Godwin, Judy, Andrews, Ayuk, Tucker. We have Cordell Patterson, Jimmy G, Woods, Samuel, Pat Frymuth, and likely in case of injury, Ayuk, CMC, Judy on bye this week. Okay, so I think that this is a fine roster. However, what I would like to do is see what kind of value we could get with Brandon Ayuk. I hate the fact that we are rostering Pat Frymuth, Isaiah Likely, and Mark Andrews. And then we have Josh Allen as well as Jimmy Garoppolo. Having a total of 5 quarterbacks and tight ends is going to make life very difficult for you when you have a lot of players like this on bye. I think the first thing we look to do is sell Brandon Ayuk and start throwing some of these players in a deal with them. Like, go through and sell Brandon Ayuk and Pat Frymuth and go get an elite level receiver. I mean, Frymuth should be someone that people are very excited about going forward, knowing that they have no Claypool. He looks like he's going to be in a smash spot, but you don't need him if you have Andrews and Likely. If you want to roll with Andrews and Likely, I'm fine with that. But let's not have a third tight end. Let's go ahead. Let's trade Frymuth, Ayuk, and throw in Jimmy G just to get him off the roster. So, because I think you should cut him if you have Josh Allen. If you have Josh Allen already through his bye, you shouldn't have a backup quarterback, in my opinion. Go get an elite level wide receiver. Go get someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then all of a sudden, we are going to have 2 additional roster spots open by moving on from our third tight ends and by moving on from our backup quarterback on a roster that has Josh Allen. And we'll have a much easier time getting through these bye weeks, being able to just churn through the waiver wire and pick up some actual players with upside. Nick says, thoughts on Walker, Judy, Dobbs for Chase and Nick Chubb? Give me Nick Chubb over Walker. Give me Jamar Chase over Jerry Judy, Romeo Dobbs. Not even close. TJ says, 10-team PPR format. Should we trade Ramondre and Godwin for A.J. Brown? I like the idea of seeing what kind of value we could get for Ramondre Stevenson, knowing that his value right now is through the freaking roof. But no, you need more. You need more than this. Now, Riley says, Godwin, Etienne for Jonathan Taylor. I would say at this point, you probably got to roll with Godwin and Etienne over JT, even if I think JT is at a pretty nice discount in the majority of leagues. Rudith says, any trade targets for Swift or Herbert? Think Tua is fine for rest of season? Yes. I mean, I think Tua is great for rest of season. If we're looking at trading away DeAndre Swift, you're not getting anything for him. If you could trade him for JT, sure. But no, nobody's excited about DeAndre Swift. I think you're going to have a hard time making that move. If you wanted to trade away Khalil Herbert, I mean, if I'm looking at a running back that in return we'd be trying to get, if you can move Khalil Herbert for someone like Miles Sanders, I would really like that, because while Khalil Herbert is 6th in the NFL in rushing yards, while Khalil Herbert does look very good and he looks like he's taking more and more touches away from David Montgomery every single week, the man at the end of the day is in a bad offense where he's a 50-50 running back that doesn't catch passes. If he was in Kansas City, like, yes, get excited. Yes, throw a freaking party. But that's not the situation we're in. I think we should be a little bit worried here. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, Logan says, should I try to trade Pierce for ETN? You should try, my man. I doubt you're going to be able to get it done, but if you can, bravo, hats off to you. I'd be super happy to hear it. But Santi coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much for always being out here, my friend. Let me skip ahead of this. We'll go right back to where we were. It says, okay, now that you've been questioning the trade, should I try to fix it by trading Adams and Andrews for CMC, Godwin, and Freiermuth? I would 100% be down for this deal. Current rosters: Herbert, Mixon, Foreman, Higbee, Brown, Godwin, Pollard, Zeke, Boyd, Myers, Gus. So I would be 100% down for this deal. Let me go back to the other trade that you were referencing. Hopkins and Hunt for Jefferson and Higbee. Okay, so that was the deal. I mean, I just think that Hopkins is a top 5 wide receiver, as we've already been discussing here. But, I mean, if we are looking to move, say, Devontae Adams, you're getting Christian McCaffrey. That's an immediate upgrade. If we're going from Andrews and getting Godwin and Freiermuth, I think it's a fair enough deal where the Christian McCaffrey upgrade makes sense. Because if you're looking at Andrews, this is a player that, while yes, has an elite level ceiling, I mean, the injuries just frustrating. It's a spot where it looks like we should be lowering down our expectations ever so slightly going forward. And if we're going to be looking at what you have with Pat Freiermuth, like, Freiermuth is real exciting. If we had Pat Freiermuth with no Chase Claypool here, I mean, wheels up. He's already getting a ridiculous amount of target volume. He's already been hyper productive. I only think it gets better. So I do like that deal. I do like that deal, my friend. But Exit Forever coming out says we have Mahomes, Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, Dalvin, J-Rob, Pitts, Godwin. And then on the bench, Latavius Murray, Kenneth Walker, Joshua Palmer, Mike Williams, Everett Madison. We're bad at running back, Garrett Wilson and CeeDee Lamb for Dameon Pierce and Tyler Lockett. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb to Dameon Pierce, slight downgrade. I understand that we need a running back. But I mean, I guess if you are getting an upgrade from Garrett Wilson to Tyler Lockett, it makes sense. Right now at running back, you're being forced to start freaking James Robinson. Your next best guys are Latavius Murray and Kyren Williams. Yes, I'd be fine with this deal. I don't love it, but I'd be fine with it considering the context. Now, Alpha Vibe says we traded Devontae Adams in the Cowboys defense for Dameon Pierce, Jonathan Taylor, and Devonta Smith. Was this a good deal or not? Okay, so I think Jonathan Taylor over Devontae Adams. I mean, call it a lateral move. But if you're moving the Cowboys defense for Dameon Pierce and Devonta Smith, that is a smash. I mean, I like trading for Jonathan Taylor when he minds leaving. I know a lot of people are just going to say, okay, well, Hines in his role is going to go to the third running back there. It's not going to go to JT. I think JT does get a bump up. I do like that, my friend. Elias says, thoughts on trading Henry, Andrews, Tua, and Ayuk for Tyreek, Debo, and Jonathan Taylor. I already have Kelsey and Herbert in a non-PPR one quarterback format. So going from Derrick Henry to JT, downgrade. Tua and Ayuk to Debo, upgrade. Andrews to Tyreek, upgrade / lateral move. I'm okay with this. It truly does come down to your opinion on Jonathan Taylor. I mean, one of the most polarizing players in fantasy right now. Clearly, you'd rather have Derrick Henry over him. But I think if we're getting the upgrades elsewhere in the starting lineup, the fall is not too far off between these two guys. Actually, it's a non-PPR league. Non-PPR, we need to change our mind here a bit. Non-PPR, what's the real upside for Debo? What's the real up? In a full PPR format, I think the gap between Derrick Henry and JT would be close enough where it makes sense. In a non-PPR league, I think Derrick Henry just crushes Jonathan Taylor at this point, where it would be very hard to sell that idea. Carlos says, a 5-3 record. Do we trade ETN and Pitts for Jefferson. Other running backs are Barkley and Eno. Receivers are Terry, DK, Amari, Hopkins. Tight end, we have TJ. If no, what moves should we look to make? Nope, 100% make the deal. I mean, I'm a massive Travis Etienne fan. I also have one too many shares of Kyle Pitts. Trust me, I wish I did not draft Kyle Pitts as much as I did. While I love Travis Etienne, while he looks phenomenal, we're rolling with JT Barkley. We don't necessarily need him. And Justin Jefferson's in a completely different tier. Like, I love Etienne, but Jefferson is in a different tier. Now, Michael says we have Tua, Kamara, Cook, Higgins, Kupp, Etienne, Rondale, Henry as starters, Hunter Henry. We have Pittman, Foreman for top 3 first next year, and Elijah Moore. Yeah, I think we already talked about this, my friend. Obviously, in a Dynasty fantasy football context, I think we kind of have to pick our lane here. You have a lot of rebuilding assets like the future picks that we just traded for. But we have, our entire starting lineup made up of guys that are going to have their value get cut in a major way this offseason in Dynasty, but are going to produce you a ton of points at the end of this season. Guys like Kamara, Dalvin, and Kupp. So I think you look at what your record is, and we kind of take an assessment on if we should be pushing in to win now or pushing for the long term. I think it's a very good team, though. Linda says CMC for Evans and Juju. CMC by a mile. I know that Juju's been fine. I'm not too worried about Tony coming over, but he's just not in the same tier as someone like Christian McCaffrey. Now, real quick, we have another massive dono coming out from Joe Jones. Thank you so much, my man. Says, need a flex and willing to trade Foreman, Lazard, and Gus Edwards. Who should we go after? Rate the team. We're 4-4 in a PBR format where we have Herbert, Etienne, Sanders, Adams, Amari, Andrews, Lazard at the flex. And then on the bench, we have Edmonds, Foreman, and Isaiah Pacheco, and Van Jefferson. So if we're breaking down this position by position, Justin Herbert, I think we can all safely say is the top 5 QB, right? Let's go Justin Herbert, top 5 quarterback. Okay, so we have an elite level quarterback here. Travis Etienne, I think even people who don't like Travis Etienne, even the Travis Etienne deniers, if they exist at this point, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to admit that Travis Etienne is a top 10 running back in fantasy, especially in a PBR format. If you're looking at where I rank Travis Etienne this week, I don't know if you'll be surprised, but you'll see that we have him a little bit higher than just top 10. I am very excited about him. We have him as a borderline top 5 player. If we're looking at Miles Sanders, I think we can all safely say Miles Sanders is at the minimum a running back 2. Going over to the wide receiver spot, I think Adams is wide receiver 1. Amari is a wide receiver 2 minimum with upside for more. We have an elite level tight end with Mark Andrews. I think it's a phenomenal team. I see how this team maybe struggled earlier on this year with the Travis Etienne emergence taking a little bit of time, with Amari Cooper obviously taking a little bit of time in Cleveland as well. But when we get Deshaun Watson back in particular, I think that he is going to absolutely crush. If we're really going to trade Foreman, Lazard, and Gus Edwards for a better flex, which is honestly pretty much exactly what I would recommend to do here, my friend. I think that there are a couple of different players that we could be going after. Based on what a lot of people have been telling us with the trades they've been able to make with Donta Foreman, it sounds like his value pretty damn high at this point. It makes sense. The man's coming off 3 rushing touchdowns. I do think that in a full PBR format, though, he's an intriguing sell-high guy, just considering the fact that you are looking at Foreman as a running back that is not going to catch passes. You will get Chuba Hubbard coming back in. Chuba Hubbard will have some type of role in Carolina. So if we could trade for a receiver at this flex spot, I think that'd be the easiest thing to do. Running backs at the flex are usually a little bit harder to come by. If we could go maybe Lazard, Donta Foreman, and throw in Gus Edwards and go and get one of these wide receivers. Now, you're not going to be able to get every single one of these guys. The majority of people are actually probably going to reject you, but you only need one to say yes. I think that we would be looking for a borderline top 12 wide receiver. I think we'd be looking for A.J. Brown. That's not happening. He just scored 3 touchdowns. You already have Devontae Adams, so we're going to hold there. If we can get Jalen Waddle, I would really like that. If we could trade Foreman, Lazard, Gus Edwards, get Jalen Waddle, get T. Higgins, get Amon-Ra St. Brown, and maybe if you want to go down a tier as well, look at someone like Evans Godwin, or maybe if you want to keep one of the running backs here and go and trade for Keenan Allen at a discount as well. I think that could be intriguing. I don't know if we want to give up all 3 players for Keenan. I think Keenan's in a smash spot with no Mike Williams. over the short term. And on top of this, if we are looking at the fact that you have Justin Herbert, you're already making a bet that this offense is going to be better than the market's indicating. So might as well just go ahead and double down on that bet here. So yeah, I think those are 3 different trade ideas, but thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. And let me skip ahead. We have another massive donut coming out from Evan. Thank you. Says 4-4 in a full BBR league, double flex. Just traded Foreman, Singletary, Sutton for Zeke, Godwin. Okay, so going from Sutton to Godwin, massive upgrade. Foreman to Zeke, call it a slight downgrade. Singletary's nothing with the Hemines going over to Buffalo. Quarterback, we have Kyler. Running back, we have Dalvin, Kamara, Zeke, J.K. Dobbins, Rashad White. Receiver, we have Chase, Lamb, Godwin, Garrett Wilson, Gallup. Tight end, we have Hawkinson, Pat Frymuth. We were offered JT and Christian Kirk for Alvin Kamara. Ooh. Can I ask the live chat this? Can everybody in the live chat please let me know, what would you rather have? Jonathan Taylor with no Nyheim Hines? Jonathan Taylor with no Nyheim Hines and Christian Kirk? Or Alvin Kamara, the man that just put up 50 freaking fantasy points this week? I know we're exaggerating just a bit, but not by much. Not by much. So please, everybody in the live chat, let me know who you're going with. Are you going JT and Kirk? Or are you going Alvin Kamara? Spam the chat. Everybody, please spam the chat. Okay. Looks like a lot of people are saying Kamara here. Evan, how about we try to make a different move here? How about instead of making this deal straight up, if you were going to trade away Alvin Kamara for Jonathan Taylor, maybe we could include in TJ Hawkinson in, knowing that we have Pat Frymuth good to go going forward with no Chase Claypool. I think a lot of people are going to be bumping up Hawkinson. I think it's kind of a lateral move for him. If we could maybe go Kamara and Hawkinson and get back in return JT and an elite level wide receiver, JT and someone like Waddle, I think that would be much more exciting. It sounds like most people are telling us that Alvin Kamara has more value. But you guy coming out, thank you, my friend, says, got our second win in an 8-team vampire league. Hell yes. Should we steal Jalen Hurts or Derrick Henry from the opponent? Best quarterbacks I have at my disposal are Tua and Gino. Best running backs are going to be Ramondre, Kenneth Walker, Mostert, Pollard, as well as Michael Carter. I would say let's go ahead, let's steal Derrick Henry. But let's steal Derrick Henry. I mean, with Jalen Hurts, I think the points per game difference of Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa not going to be as large of the points per game difference that we're going to be getting from Derrick Henry and someone like Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, I like Tua going forward. So yeah, let's go get Henry, my friend. But congrats on getting that second win. I mean, if you have your second win in that Vampire League, we're getting Derrick Henry. I mean, I think you're going to be in a good spot going forward. Now, Florida Untamed says, we traded Judy for Chase. Was told it was a dirty deal. I offered to reverse it to keep the league fun. I mean, congrats on the great trade. Sounds like you're a good guy. I mean, just wanting the league to be fun for everyone. I would easily prefer Jamar Chase. I'd prefer Jamar Chase. But really quick, we are 3 likes away from hitting 900 likes in the live stream. We only have about 900 people watching this. So thank you so much, everybody, for going down there, dropping a like, and supporting the channel. I do appreciate it. And if you have not hit that like button yet, if you have not subscribed, what do I have to do? Do I have to start doing backflips on this live stream for you? I mean, this is what, our 10th live stream of the day? Go down there, drop a like, and subscribe. Now, Brightburn says, rosters Lamar, St. Brown, Keenan, JT, Pierce, Pitts, Cooks, and Ramondre. We're 3-5 in a full PBR format. Need to make a move. Any suggestions? If we were to go ahead and make any trade here, my friend, I think that would really like to upgrade at wide receiver 3. Here's a potential trade for you. Let's actually ignore that. Kyle Pitts having a good week this past week. Mark Andrews getting injured. Ramondre Stevenson continuing to crush it. I think that we will wait for Mark Andrews' practice reports. Once we have a good feeling that Mark Andrews will be coming back, if we could see if it would be possible to trade the combo of Ramondre Stevenson as well as Kyle Pitts and go out there and get someone like Mark Andrews. That way we get the elite level tight ends, pair them up with Lamar Jackson. What we maybe look to do is wait 2 weeks to do this because week 10, they actually have a bye week for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, let's wait until after their bye, and then let's go try to see if we can get Andrews there. Leo says, is Deion Jackson worth the stash pickup? Not a Jonathan Taylor. I think he's worth the stash pickup. I think it's some of the looks from Mines being gone. The thing is, they bring in Zach Moss. So if JT were to go down, it's not like Deion Jackson's going to get every single touch here. I think he probably does split the backfield with Zach Moss. Okay. Now our next question coming out from Colin says, one more. Are we hungry enough for Pickens after the trade to go trade away Amari Cooper, go Bills? Okay, so 100%, I think that this offense is still very bad. However, now with the target competition being gone, George Pickens is significantly more appealing. Is he appealing enough where it makes sense for us to trade Amari Cooper to get him? Hell to the no. Let's go ahead. Let's please keep Amari Cooper. Don't overthink this. Now, Chris says, is trading Donta Foreman for Jerry Jeudy worth it? No, I think you probably prefer Foreman. You can get a little bit more. Eddie says, we have Kyler, Kamara, Taylor, Tyreek, Devonta, Hunt, and Myers. The bench is Dak, Dontrell Hilliard, Dearness Johnson, Brian Robinson, Rashad White, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jamal Williams on the IR. Who to drop for Alexander Madison and Rondale Moore? Okay, so first drop Dontrell Hilliard for Alexander Madison. Easy in my opinion. I mean, if you have Derrick Henry going down, Dontrell Hilliard is a low-end RB2. Whereas if you have Dalvin Cook going down, I mean, all of a sudden Alexander Madison is a top 3 running back in fantasy. The second move that we look to make is if we wanted to pick up Rondale Moore, maybe drop Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm going to ask the live chat this. Can everybody please in the chat spam who they would rather have? Would you rather have Rondale Moore or Wan'Dale Robinson going forward? Rondale Moore or Wan'Dale Robinson going forward? I mean, I really want to pick up Rondale. I really don't want to drop Wan'Dale. Kind of funny that they have essentially the same name here as well. But I would be very interested to see what people in the chat have to say. Okay, looks like most people are preferring Rondale. Most people are preferring Rondale Moore over Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, Logan says, are you taking Njoku or Freiermuth? I'm going Pat Freiermuth easily with the high ankle sprain to David Njoku combined with the fact that you have no Chase Claypool here anymore. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Justice says, it's again the guy who got Dalvin Cook for Jared Goff. Has the flex on everyone here. Traded Ayuk and Tyler Algier for Jonathan Taylor. The team's loaded 5-3 out here making moves. Mason, love you, brother. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and congrats. Oh my gosh. I'm assuming you're playing with children here, my friend. Like, I want to tell you congrats for crushing your league mates. Congrats on presumably being a kindergarten teacher that convinced his class to go through and get into fantasy football and join his fantasy football league because you are just straight up robbing these kids. Like, oh my gosh, great Jonathan Taylor trade. Now, Marshall says, would you trade Fournette for Devontae Adams? It's a league where we start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 2 flex. Yes. We have Diggs, Waddle, Keenan, Chase, JT, Kamara, Herbert, Kittle, and then on the bench, Cooks, Dobbs, and Khalil Herbert. Yes, I would go ahead and do this. Maybe try to trade a depth wide receiver for a depth running back, trading like Romeo Dobbs for A.J. Dillon after we make it, but I would rather have Adams over Fournette. Morph says 3-5 in a 12-team, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 2 flex league. We have Geno, Saquon, Jacobs, Evans, Godwin, Curtis, Gallup, Waller, Zach Ertz. What are your thoughts on the next move? I think the thoughts on the next move is we wait a week, hope that we end up getting Darren Waller back this week, which I assume happens. I assume that you get Darren Waller back in with Zach Ertz. He's been phenomenal. With Zach Ertz, he's actually been the tight end 3 so far this season, which is a little bit surprising here. But you have to keep in mind the fact that you are looking at an offense that, I mean, had no DeAndre Hopkins at the beginning portion of the season. Not only did you have no DeAndre Hopkins at the beginning portion of the season, then Hollywood Brown goes down. When you have all these players in here, I will be a little bit more concerned about the volume that Zach Ertz gets. I don't know if it's going to be consistent the way it has been. So if we could see any type of certainty from Darren Waller and then go ahead and package maybe Curtis Samuel and Zach Ertz go get an upgrade at wide receiver. I'd really like that. And a quick side note, if we can take a depth piece and trade him with Geno Smith for Tom Brady on a roster where we're rolling with Evans and Godwin, so we're already all in on this offense here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I also would be interested in that. But real quick, let me skip ahead. We have a massive dono coming out from Rich out here every single day. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, hey, Mason, non-PBR format got off for Justin Herbert or Justin Fields, Darren Waller, and Chase Claypool for Mark Andrews. We have Geno at quarterback. We have Chase, Debo as well, who are injured. Would you make this trade? Thanks as always, my friend. Okay, so let me make sure we're getting this right. Were we offered Justin Herbert straight up for Mark Andrews, or were we offered Justin Herbert, Darren Waller, and Chase Claypool for Mark Andrews? If that is the deal, yes, I would go ahead. I would make the trade, go pick up Waller and Claypool. However, if it's Justin Fields, no. While 100%, I will agree that Justin Fields is more appealing now than he previously was with Chase Claypool coming over. I mean, he had been dealing with the worst wide receiver core in the NFL. I don't think you can argue against that when Equanimeous St. Brown and Donna Pettis are two players that are consistently seeing targets from Justin Fields. They are the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 combo on this team. I think Justin Fields is going to be more appealing going forward. However, I still don't view him as a must-start guy every single week, regardless of matchup. Okay, Rich says it's all three of them with a choice between those two guys. If it's all three of them with the choice between those two guys, give me Justin Herbert way over Justin Fields, even if Justin Fields can have more rushing production. I would be fine with the Herbert deal if you are a believer in Waller and Claypool. To be honest with you, I probably would go ahead and look to flip Claypool in another trade for an upgrade somewhere else because I'm still not a believer in the passing volume in Chicago, but I do think it's a fair deal if we are looking at the Justin Herbert side of things. But real quick, we also have another massive dono coming out from Floodgate, always out here. Thank you, my friend. Let me go ahead and let me make you a moderator in this live chat. I'm surprised that you're not one as is. And all you have to do if you're a moderator, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. But if you want to, if you see someone spamming the same question over and over again, tell them to knock it off. And if they don't, just hit them with the put user in timeout like Teresa always helps us out with here. You can see her doing that right now. But anyway, it says, what's a fair deal to trade away Cooper Kupp? Don't. But we have Allen, Najee, Connor, Drake, Hubbard, Diggs. Oh my gosh, that scared me. My Apple Watch started talking to us. Oh my gosh. But anyway, we have Najee, Connor, Drake, Hubbard, Diggs, Kupp, Smith, Gabe Davis, Waller. We need running back depth. I am still Curtin from Logos, by the way. You're the go. Thank you so much for always being a part of the flock and hanging out with us, my friend. Thank you so much. And if we are looking at making a Cooper Kupp deal, the easy answer is do not do that. The easy answer is hold on to Cooper Kupp. Even with the ankle injury, with him playing this week, I still think that he has, maybe not this week, but for rest of season, he still has a floor ceiling combo that not many players in fantasy football can remotely come close to. I still think that you view him as an elite level asset that is almost untouchable. If you were to trade away Cooper Kupp, what I'm going to want in return is an elite level running back. Get back someone at a discount right now, someone that people are very worried about. Get back Jonathan Taylor, get back DeAndre Swift, but also another wide receiver one at the same time. If you were to trade Cooper Kupp, if you really need that running back, the move is trading away Kupp and getting back like Jonathan Taylor and Jalen Waddle. Getting back DeAndre Swift and Tyreek Hill's a little bit too much, but maybe DeAndre Swift and someone like A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a spot where you never want to go through and trade away Kupp. You really don't want to. But thank you so much for everything, and thank you for being a member of the flock. But our next question coming out from Ray says, would we trade Aaron Jones for Dameon Pierce straight up? Or would you do Jones and Godwin for Pierce and A.J. Brown? We also have Hill and DJ Moore. I would do the second deal. I would trade Aaron Jones and Chris Godwin for Dameon Pierce and A.J. Brown. But full transparency, you're going to be hating yourself for this trade after this week because you're about to have Dameon Pierce embarrass himself on national television going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And you'll have Aaron Jones putting up 1,000,000 points against the Detroit Lions. Now, Ricky says, a team is 7-1 in happy BR format, 12-team, 2-quarterback league. The roster is Burrow, Diggs, Evans, Duvernay, Mixon, Connor, Frymuth, Hunt, Goff. The bench is Taysom, Eno, Benjamin, Renfro, Murray, and Tony. Should we make any moves? First thing is, with Chase Edmonds coming over to Denver, I mean, I had Latavius Murray on our waiver wire video, but I think Latavius Murray is a safe player to go ahead and drop at this point. And if we were looking at making another move beyond that, if you have both Frymuth and Taysom Hill, obviously we're starting Taysom Hill this week when Pat Frymuth is on bye. But in the long term, after this week, I think when Frymuth does not have Chase Claypool in his offense, he's going to be a must-start player for us every single week, almost regardless. So I think that makes Taysom Hill expendable. And Taysom Hill has been very good as of late, but we have to keep in mind the context in which he has been good. You've had no Michael Thomas. You've had no Jarvis Landry. You've had no Jameis Winston. For a stretch, you had no Alvin Kamara. So while, yes, Taysom has been great, at the same time, I'm not 100% confident that this is going to keep up the rest of season here. So if we could wait a week and get Frymuth through the bye, go ahead, trade Taysom in a package with someone like Devin Duvernay and get an upgrade at wide receiver. And then at the same time, drop Latavius Murray for someone that we like a little bit more off the waiver wire. I think all those moves would be good. Neil coming out here, always out in the live stream. Thank you so much, my friend. Let me go ahead and make you a moderator as well. I know you're out here every single day with us. And before we get to your question, we are one like away from hitting 1,000 likes in the live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream, be our 1,000th like of the stream, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. I mean, we go through and live stream every single day. We had 10 live streams today. Not missed a day of live streaming in God knows how long. So please go down there and drop that like and subscribe. But Neil says, should we worry about my Aaron Jones, George Pickens, for T. Higgins, and DK Metcalf deal? The only weak spots running back 2, who do we play between Brian Robinson, Khalil Herbert, Kyron Williams? Yes. If you would have asked me a week ago, I would have honestly said I like the deal. I thought George Pickens a week ago did not have much value whenever you were looking at a situation where you had no Claypool. I mean, where you had Claypool, where you had Deontay, where you had Frymuth, all taking target volume. Now Pickens and Metcalf aren't that far off. I still think you'd rather have Metcalf. Aaron Jones to T. Higgins is a fair price. However, at the same time, if Brian Robinson's getting benched for Antonio Gibson here, I think you're right. We are in desperate need of a running back too. And if we're looking to play someone between Brian Robinson, Khalil Herbert, and Kyron Williams, you got to go ahead and you have to play Khalil Herbert where you're in a situation where Brian Robinson's getting benched for freaking Antonio Gibson. I don't think we can be playing Brian Robinson anytime soon. Now, Bono Big says, should we trade Andrews for Waddle Etienne? We have Robert Tonyan. Yes, go ahead and make this deal. Easily make this deal. And XML says, start Foreman, Singletary, or Jamal Williams week 8. I think you have to go ahead and you play Donta Foreman. I think we assume that DeAndre Swift has a little bit more of a larger role this week when he's another week removed from this injury. At the same time, if we are going to be looking at what we have with Singletary, Nehemiah's just going to crush this value. And Paul says, hey, Mason, I'm in a full BBR format with Lamar, Kupp, Brown, Mixon, Walker, Higbee, Foreman. And then on the bench, we have Thomas, Tonyan, Clay, and Gus Edwards. Do we have any suggestions? If we were looking to go ahead and make a move, I think maybe Donta Foreman's going to be an intriguing player to sell high. Like if you could go ahead and package Donta Foreman and Gus Edwards in a full PPR league, go get a running back that we're more excited about with some actual receiving down work like Miles Sanders. I think that would make a lot of sense. Obviously, we can shoot higher at first, go shoot for DeAndre Swift, go shoot for Travis Etienne, go shoot for Jonathan Taylor. I don't think any of those deals actually get made. So I think you try to settle for someone like Miles Sanders in that full PPR league where Edwards and Foreman are just not going to catch the ball at all. Okay. Now, Marshall says, few trades we've made, traded Pollard for Alvin Kamara, Montgomery and Higbee for Jonathan Taylor. Oh my gosh. Samuel and Jamal for Jalen Waddle, Myers for Keenan Allen. Thanks for all the recommendations this season. Congrats on absolutely crushing your league mates here, my friend. I mean, I forgot back at the beginning of the year, people were panicking on Alvin Kamara. I mean, people were losing their minds. Congrats on the fantastic trades. I'm assuming you're sitting with a phenomenal roster. Now, Neil coming out again says, after the trades we made, we have Joey B, Eckler, Brian Robinson, Herbert, that's Khalil, Kyron, Higgins, Williams, Hollywood, Metcalf, Lazard, Gabe Davis, Andrews, Jameson, trying to seal my running back 2 spot, but I don't think anybody will trade with me. It is a very tough spot to be in, my friend. I mean, you have some unlucky moves here. Having Mike Williams going down with an injury, having Hollywood Brown going down with an injury, it does severely cap you with the amount of trades that we can actually look to make because we just don't have that wide receiver depth anymore. I think we may just have to kind of sit here on our hands and really hope that something changes with the situation with either Brian Robinson or Khalil Herbert. Really hope that something changes here. And Lalo says, prior to today, we traded Pickens, Carter, Foreman. By the way, Hook 'em Horns. We just got to throw that up. For Amon-Ra St. Brown, we have Kenneth Walker, Pierce, ETN, Godwin, Williams, Hollywood on the IR in a 12-team league. What are your thoughts? So going from Foreman, Pickens, Carter to St. Brown, would have loved the deal before the Chase Claypool trade. I like the deal now. Would have loved it before the Claypool deal. I mean, obviously, with Chase Claypool leaving this offense, you have to give that bump up to George Pickens, where the issue was never the talent. The issue was just it's hard to get volume here, but it does look like a very safe player to go with. Now, Jason says, hey, Maze, should I trade Fournette for Foreman and Rondale Moore? No. It's a 10-team PPR league where we have Tua, Eckler, Fournette, Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Lockett, Goddard, Sanders, Thornton, Kyler, Eno, Wandale, Mike, and Hollywood. So it sucks that we lose both Mike and Hollywood. We need help at wide receiver right now. I don't think you're getting enough value. However, in a full PPR format, I mean, Leonard Fournette has seen more receptions in a single game before than you may get from Donta Foreman all season. I love Foreman. I'm rooting for our guy, but he just doesn't catch the ball. Antonio says 2 and 6 in at PPR format. Trade ideas. Lamb for DK and Keenan. Owner asking for Lamb all season or for Ramondre Stevenson. If you are desperate for some depth here, this may be like a 12-team league with multiple flex spots, I'm fine with the DK and Keenan trade. Obviously, the issue with Lamb is just the passing volume's not there with how good the defense is. Matt says we traded Lamb and Cook for Swift and Devontae Adams. Full PPR format, I'm going to be fine with it if you are DeAndre Swift, a believer in the long term. Zach says Swift and Frymuth for Kenneth Walker. In a non-PPR format, yes. In a full PPR format, however, when Kenneth Walker is not going to catch passes, I think we probably have to go ahead and go with the DeAndre Swift and Pat Frymuth side because Frymuth looks like a top 5 tight end going forward. I mean, he looks like he is in a complete smash spot considering the fact you have no Claypool. But really quick, let me skip ahead and answer Cameron's question. We'll go right back to where we were. Thank you so much for the support. My friend says, rate the team going forward in a 6-2, 8-team PPR league where we have Lamar at quarterback, running back, we have JT Chubb, receivers, we have Diggs, Brown, tight end, we have Pitts, flex Pollard, and then on the bench, Njoku, Keenan, Edwards, J-Rob, Everett, Amari Cooper. So obviously 6-2, you'll love the roster. 8-team league, our bar is going to be much higher. The one thing that I hate with this team, the one thing that I really do hate with this team is the fact that you're rostering 3 tight ends here. I know you have David Njoku going down with the high ankle sprain, but still, there's no planet ever where we should be rostering 3 tight ends unless it's a very deep dynasty league. I think you need to go through. I think you need to pick one of these tight ends to move on from, whether that's dropping David Njoku with the high ankle sprain, whether that's dropping Gerald Everett and rolling with Kyle Pitts going forward until we get David Njoku back in. And if we were looking at making any moves here, I think considering the fact that this is an 8-team league and the only job of ours is to go through and try to find the highest ceiling possible. Hell, if you could package together Pitts, Edwards, and James Robinson, go get Mark Andrews to stack up with Lamar Jackson, then just go ahead and drop David Njoku, knowing that you have that elite level tight end rest of season. I would really like that idea, just given the fact that in an 8-team league, everybody's going to have great running backs. Everybody's going to have great receivers. The one spot that you can really make your roster stand out is going to be having that elite level tight ends. And at the same time, it will open us up from a roster construction standpoint where we'll no longer have to roster 3 of these guys. And yeah, I really would like making both those moves, my friend. But now Henry coming out with a question. Says Olave Boyd for A.J. Brown, is this a fair move? 100%. Let's go ahead and let's get A.J. Brown here. I've been getting A.J. Brown, pairing him with T. Higgins and Stephon Diggs. We have Allen at quarterback. Going, dude. I mean, Olave, Tyler Boyd, they do look very exciting, but I think you have to go ahead and make it. And Michael in the chat saying we didn't answer this question, my friend. I answered this like hours ago. I'll go ahead and I'll answer it again for you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Says just traded Debo and Mostert for Jonathan Taylor. Hell yes, love it. We talked about the fact that Christian McCaffrey here coming back in is going to severely cap Debo rest of season. We have Herbert, Tua, Tyreek, Jefferson, Devonta Smith, Myers, Swift, Taylor, Waller. Teams 4-4 in a 10-team format. Love the team. The only thing that I'd be saying is if we could potentially go ahead and look to maybe see what kind of value we could get for Tua Tagovailoa, knowing that we already have Herbert through his bye, knowing that Herbert is someone that we could look to start every single week. I think that could be somewhat intriguing. I mean, obviously, Tua is a quarterback that has a ton of value. I think you should be able to get a decent amount from him. But sorry, Michael, if you did not hear the answer the first time. And our next question coming out from, I believe, Tyler says, should we trade CMC for Mixon and Waddle or Chris Godwin? I think probably not. Full PPR league where we got to start 3 receivers. We have CMC, Connor, Lamb, Higgins, and Sutton. I love me some Jalen Waddle. It's a league where we have to start 3 receivers. I don't want to have to start Sutton any given week. But Christian McCaffrey looks like he's in a completely different tier. I think CMC's falling in line with those guys that you just simply can't trade unless it's an absolute no-brainer. Ty the Dawn coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, hey, Mason, love the content. Should we trade Adams and Jacobs for Jefferson and ETN? Hell yes, if it's a full PPR league. Yeah, it is. If not, who would we be targeting for Josh Jacobs? I don't think you need to sell Josh Jacobs. I mean, I actually like Josh Jacobs going forward. My most drafted running back in fantasy this year. But, I mean, if you are looking at this spot, Jefferson, clear tier ahead of Devontae Adams. ETN, Jacobs, comparable in a full PPR format. Timothy says, in a 12-team full PPR format, we have Lamar, Eckler, Jacobs, Keenan, Kittle, Foreman. And then on the bench, we have Bateman, Harris, Wandale, Tyquan Thornton, Greg Dulcich, and Kyron Williams. 3 and 5, what moves can we look to make here? I think if we were going to look to make any moves, I mean, we're severely capped with what we can do. Our bench is full of 4 rookies that are not producing right away for us, that we're kind of sitting on our hands and waiting for long-term upside with. We have an injured high upside wide receiver later on in the year to stack with Lamar. You know, I'm not a Lamar Jackson. I'm not a Rashad Bateman fan. I mean, we've never really been a Rashad Bateman fan. However, the one roster where I wouldn't mind having him would be specifically if we are rolling with Lamar Jackson at quarterback and we want to make that bet on Baltimore. So I kind of want to tell you to trade a depth piece and Donta Foreman and get an upgrade that way, but we don't have any depth pieces. So then we have to continue to turn the waiver wire and try to find some depth that way. Now, Taj says, in a 12-team PPR format, trade Dalvin and Dalton Schultz for Ramondre and TJ Hawkinson. No. I don't think TJ Hawkinson's an upgrade over Dalton Schultz. I think they are comparable going forward. I think Dalvin or Ramondre is a downgrade. Now, Basir says, in first place in Dynasty and looking to solidify our running back position, is it worth trading Romeo Doubs and a future first for Ramondre Stevenson? I would say no if it is super flex. I mean, Ramondre's in a good spot where obviously he's looked phenomenal over the past few weeks. And at the same time, Damien Harris was drafted in 2019. So with Damien Harris, this is easily a running back that may end up not being on the New England Patriots next year. I mean, his rookie deal is going to end. So I'd say probably not. Mad Max says, should we drop Rachaad White for Chase Edmonds? Running backs are Saquon, Lenny, and Cordell Patterson. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat this. Please, everyone in the chat, we have about 900 people here. Obviously, Edmonds getting traded over to Denver. Rachaad White's looked pretty damn good. Who would you rather have on your roster? Would you rather have Rachaad White or Chase Edmonds? Please spam the chat for Mad Max. Now, Shup Eddie says, PPR format, we're going to go A.J. Brown for DeAndre Hopkins. Do we accept? I think until Hollywood comes back, Hopkins probably going to be better. But once you get Hollywood back in, then I'd rather have A.J. Brown. So it does depend on if you have a winning record right now, losing record. But keep in mind also that A.J. Brown's already gone through the bye. Okay, most people are saying White. We have someone saying Rachaad White to get that handcuff with Leonard Fournette. And really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 1,100 likes in the stream. So please, if you have not done so yet, go down there and drop that like. Beast says Deontay Johnson and Jonathan Taylor for Aaron Jones and Juju Smith-Schuster. I would probably keep JT. I don't want to speak up too much on the expectations for Deontay Johnson. I was too high on him coming into the season, but I would go with the JT side. Now, Dylan says, tell me your opinion on Schultz for the rest of the season. We have Hayden Hurst as well. I mean, if we're looking at Dalton Schultz, the issue has just been this Dallas Cowboys defense has been too good where they're not having to throw the ball in the second half. There's not enough passing volume to go around where CeeDee Lamb can get his alpha target share, where the running backs are going to draw consistent targets out of the backfield, where you have some decent wide receiver depth pieces with guys like Michael Gallup as well as Noah Brown in this offense. So the volume's gone down on Dalton Schultz, but given the landscape of the tight end position, I think you are looking at a spot where you kind of have to pencil him in as a mid tight end one. Not so much because of himself, but more so because there's really nobody else we can be looking at here. Now, Fishes says, trading for Gabe Davis and Kyler, giving up Russ and Dameon Pierce in a 2-quarterback format. We also have Eckler Walker at running back still. What are your thoughts? I would say that if this was a 1-quarterback league, no. This was a 1-quarterback league, keep Dameon Pierce. But in a 2-quarterback format, that upgrade from Russell Wilson to Kyler Murray is massive. I mean, not only are we getting that massive upgrade for right now, but at the same time, in the long term, I mean, you're going to get Hollywood Brown back eventually. If we're rolling with Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, all healthy in Arizona, I think you have a smash spot for Kyler. Now, Dylan says, hey, Mason, we're 5-3. We have Henry, Walker, Foreman, Hunt, Edmonds, Thomas, Terry, Dobbs, Garrett Wilson, Kadarius Toney, Travis Kelce at tight end. What should we do? Clearly need wide receiver help. I think if we could go through and trade Donta Foreman and Terry McLaurin, get an elite level wide receiver in return, I would really like that. If we could go get Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, I think that would be phenomenal. I mean, if we are looking at Donta Foreman, yes, he's going out there and crushing it. The same time, I think Carolina's offense is going to be significantly worse going forward. And on top of this, he's not catching passes. With Terry McLaurin, he's been great, but you've had no John Dotson. When Dotson comes back, I will be worried. Now, Garrett says, should I grab Najee if my only running backs are Foreman, Singletary, Hunt, Connor? Got no options for running back ones. No one will trade. What's Connor's potential with Eno there? I think, honestly, James Conner's going to go back to the role that he had at the beginning portion of the season. Running back seeing about 60% of the opportunity in Arizona. And hell yes, if you're telling me we can get like Najee Harris off the waiver wire, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what you're asking like the trade is for Najee Harris. Now, Peter says it's a 12-team PPR format. We got 3 wide receiver slots. Do we have any running back trade targets? We have Tua, Hopkins, Adams, Waddle, Hogginson, Pierce, Najee, Algier, Pacheco, Dobbs, Zay Jones, Akers, Rashad White. We're 6th in a 6-way tie at 5-3 for first. Oh my gosh. That is intense here, my friend. If we are looking at something, I mean, I would be interested in trading Dameon Pierce for JT. I would be interested in trading Dameon Pierce for DeAndre Swift. The issue with Pierce is he is severely capped in this offense. I mean, I would go trade him for Joe Mixon. Go trade him for a running back that's going to be in a better offense, that in my opinion is a better talent, that hasn't been producing as of late for reasons X, Y, and Z. I would even be willing to throw in a smaller piece like Romeo Dobbs to get that deal done. Because if you are looking at Romeo Dobbs, he's been phenomenal. We said to start him last week. We said to start him last week because you had Allen Lazard out. But once you get Allen Lazard back in, all of a sudden we have Lazard, Sammy Watkins, and maybe Christian Watson eventually all healthy. I think it's going to go back to a situation where you don't really want any of the receivers here because the targets are going to be too spread out. Now, Ricky says, Mason need a quarterback bad in this league. Najee, JT, Diggs, Brown, Myers, Pickens, Tony, Ertz, Everett, Higbee. 2 offers in the league. Diggs for Kyler, Godwin, or AJ Brown for Dak and Olave. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I mean, yes, I like the idea of buying Kyler Murray, especially if you're going to get Hollywood Brown back in the long term. I think you're overpaying for moving Diggs. And then AJ Brown for Dak and Olave. I think we're overpaying in this way as well. I would rather just go and pick up someone like Justin Fields off the waiver wire. If we're trading a quarterback a wide receiver like Stephon Diggs, I know we're getting another receiver back, but if we're trading the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy, I better be getting back Lamar. I better be getting back Jalen Hurts. I better be getting back Josh Allen. I better be getting back Patrick Mahomes. I think Kyler's an intriguing buy low candidate. I don't think it's enough value though. Sal says, do you see Brandon Cooks holding out rest of year? I don't see why he would. Like, he's so old, past the trade deadline. What does he have to gain? Like, if he's just tired of football, sure. I'm sure he's made enough money in his NFL career. But the man was drafted in 2014. He was actually drafted at 20 years old. He was extremely young. He's still kind of young for a wide receiver drafted in 2014. But you're not in a position if you're a wide receiver, especially a speedy receiver, going into year like 8 or 9 of your NFL career to start holding out past the deadline. Kevin says, hey, Mason, Kirk, DJ Moore, Mixon, or Derrick Henry and Mike Evans. So I'd rather have Derrick Henry over Joe Mixon. I'd rather have Mike Evans over DJ Moore, and Christian Kirk's not going to bridge the gap for me. So yeah, let's go Derrick Henry and Mike Evans. Monte says, trade Michael Carter for Juju Smith-Schuster. Going to be up to you, my friend. I think that is completely up to your roster. African Lizard says, trade away Foreman and Hines for DeAndre Swift. Hell yes, my friend. I love it. Love it. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Nick says, my friend was losing, and I said he had a chance knowing he won't win, but I said you have Chubb. Okay, my friend was losing, and I said he had a chance knowing he won't win, but I said you have Chubb, but he has to score 100. He was pissed. Oh, okay. So you're just trolling your friend there. I'm sorry. We're a little confused at first. I mean, if someone was going to score 100 points in fantasy football, maybe possible for Nick Chubb. Maybe, just maybe. Bone says trade Devontae and Khalil Herbert for Kenneth Walker and T. Higgins. I would be fine with it. Team is Tua, Khalil, CMC, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Hockenson, Woods. We do have Jamar Chase, but he's injured. Yeah, if you're telling me you're having to start Khalil Herbert right now, yeah, he's the running back 6 in rushing yards on the season. I don't think that's going to be the case going forward. He doesn't catch passes. I would much prefer having Kenneth Walker at running back 2 instead. So yeah, let's go Kenneth Walker and T. Higgins. Now our next question coming out from Dylan says, and actually real quick, Bones, also let me go ahead and make you a moderator in this live stream. Don't have to do anything if you don't want, but you're always out here. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. And our next question coming out from Dylan says, in LBBR format, give more Mike Williams, Tyler Algier, get Dalvin, Jacoby to get Dalvin and Jacoby. Okay, so going, hell yeah, I'll do it. Go ahead and make that more. We have Tua, Jones, Etienne, Mixon, Donta Foreman, DJ Moore, Mike Williams, Michael Thomas, Romeo Doubs, Zach Ertz. Which running backs do we swap with Lamb after? Okay, so 100%. I mean, we already have so much running back production that honestly, you have to make this deal just because the value, but it doesn't make a ton of sense for your roster. If we were looking to trade a running back for CeeDee Lamb afterwards, if we can move Deontay Foreman and like Michael Thomas and go get CeeDee Lamb, I would like that. But yes, make the deal. It doesn't make sense for your team, but the value is just absolutely absurd. And Luronic says trade Foreman for James Conner. I plead the fifth, my friend. I'll ask the live chat real quick, kid. Everybody in the live chat, let me know. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Deontay Foreman or James Conner? Not this week, but rest of season. Deontay Foreman or James Conner, please let me know who you'd rather have in the live stream. And Timeout Sports says, thanks, Mason, you're the best. Need a running back in PPR format where we have Adams, Hopkins, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, George Pickens. Who could we trade for David Montgomery? I mean, the David Montgomery price is going to be very low at this point, my friend. If you were dying to trade for David Montgomery, I think you're giving up someone like Devonta Smith or DJ Moore to get him. Checking the chat. Looks like the majority of people are saying Foreman. It's not like there are no James Connors here. I think that you do need a little bit more in return if you're moving Foreman, though. Andrew says, trade Mixon, JT, Geno, and Hollywood for Devontae Adams and Josh Allen. Okay, so going from, say, Jonathan Taylor to Devontae Adams getting a slight upgrade. Going from Andrews to Josh Allen getting a slight upgrade. We're paying Geno and Hollywood Brown to get the deal done. I'd be fine with it if it makes sense for your roster. Lightning says running back trade targets for DJ Moore, full BBR. Thanks, Mason. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Main guy I'm going to go with would be Miles Sanders. And if you are trading for Miles Sanders, you're going to have to do it before Thursday because in the matchup against the Houston Texans, imagine that he probably goes through and scores 1 million points. But Rajan says, who do we start? We need 3 between Ramondre, JT, Kenneth Walker, and Deontay Foreman. Assuming it's a full BBR format, I think we're going to go Ramondre, Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker. I think with Deontay Foreman, yes, he scored 3 touchdowns this past week, but the Carolina Panthers also scored more than 30 points. Is that going to be something we expect going forward? Max says, Josh for Tua, Juju, and Sutton. No, I would rather have Josh Allen over those guys. Or CMC Sutton for Jefferson and Mike Evans. I would, if I had to choose a deal, we're going to go with the Justin Jefferson and Mike Evans side on the second trade. But yeah, do not be trading away Josh Allen at that price point. Take Kim says, would you rather have Mixon or ETN the rest of season? Based on what we had this past week, you probably have to go ahead and you probably have to take Travis Etienne in a full PPR format, right? I think you probably go Etienne. Now, Tummy says start Ertz or Goddard this week and going forward. I think we are going to go ahead. We're going to take Dallas Goddard over Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz has been the tight end 3 so far this season on a points per game basis. He has crushed, but you also had DeAndre Hopkins suspended at the beginning of the year. Now, John says Kelsey for Hopkins and Dameon Pierce. Very fair deal. I think Hopkins is a top 5 wide receiver at this point. I think Dameon Pierce is a mid running back too. So it does really depend on your roster. Trailer Park Boy says Kamara and either Keenan or Amari for Austin Eckler. Let me pull your team back up here, my friend. Okay. So we have JT, ETN, Kamara, Patterson. AJ Brown, Keenan, Amari. You were looking to upgrade one. Upgrading by using some of the depth. I would be fine if you wanted to go through and trade. I'd be fine if you want to make this package. One thing that does play into this a little bit is A, Austin Eckler is the running back 1 so far this season, averaging 25 points per game. B, also Kamara has not gone through his bye week where you are going to get that extra week from Austin Eckler from this week going forward. So I won't fault you at all if you wanted to go through and take Eckler. But now our next question coming out from, I believe, Logan says, Travis Kelce or AJ Brown and George Kittle in a 10-team full PPR format. Most people are going to go Brown and Kittle in a 10-team league, assuming we only have one flex spot. I'm going to go ahead and take Travis Kelce, expecting that with Debo and CMC both fully healthy coming out of the bye, it's going to be a big-time hit to Kittle. Sweet Baby Ray's coming out. Always love seeing you out here. Always the best name in the live stream. Says 6-2 in a 12-team full PPR format where we have Burrow, CMC, JT, Lamb, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Hayden Hurst. The bench is Wandale, Pollard, Foreman, Hubbard, Pacheco, Rondell Moore. Who should we be looking to upgrade for in what position after? I think if you have Donta Foreman down here on the bench, I think one move that I'd be interested in is trading Foreman and Michael Pittman or Foreman and Gabriel Davis and going and getting an elite level upgrade at the wide receiver spot. What would be very interesting is if the Jamar Chase owner is currently, maybe with a losing record, maybe needs some help immediately. And if we could, on this 6-2 roster, where we are prioritizing for the fantasy football playoffs, where we have Joe Burrow, go through and trade a bench running back for us like Deontay Foreman with Michael Pittman and go get Jamar Chase, go get that wide receiver upgrade for the long term for the fantasy football playoffs, I would really like that. Nick says JT for Waddle in a 12-team standard league. Waddle's my most drafted receiver, and I'm still going JT. Logan says Josh Allen, Garrett Wilson, Alexander Madison, or Joe Burrow and Ramondre. Okay, give me Allen over Burrow. Give me Madison over, give me Ramondre over Garrett Wilson and Alexander Madison. 4-point pass and touchdown format. Honestly, give me Josh Allen, given the rushing touchdown upside. I think Josh Allen can go out there and drop 30 points in a given week. You can't say that about really anybody else in fantasy. Daniel says, start 2. We got Tyler Boyd, Devonta Smith, and Jacoby Myers. I think we're probably going to go ahead and roll with the combo of Tyler Boyd and Jacoby Myers. Smith seems like a boom bust option. Going up against Houston, I don't think they have to throw the ball in the second half. Antonio coming out says, we're 2-6 in a happy BR format. Trade ideas. Lamb for DK, Godwin, and Jeff Wilson Jr. Godwin and Keenan. Same owner asked for Lamb all season. Maybe Ramondre. Okay, so we did answer this earlier in the live stream. My friend, I'll be happy to go through and answer this again. If we are looking at this, I would be willing to trade CeeDee Lamb for DK Metcalf and Chris Godwin if this is a 12-team league where we have multiple flex spots. And if you're going to get Jeff Wilson Jr. as well, not a massive fan of Jeff Wilson Jr., but maybe you can include him in a package with someone else to get an upgrade elsewhere. Zach says trade Debo for Terry McLaurin and a first-round pick. Flip and upgrade at running back. I would trade Debo for Terry and a first-round rookie pick in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And if you were looking to flip Terry for a running back in Dynasty, maybe you go and get like A.J. Dillon in a second-round pick. I think that could be exciting. But Donnie coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much, my friend. Says 5-3 in a 12-team PPR format where we have Allen, JT, Eno, Rashad White, Pacheco, Gus, Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Burks, Bateman, A-Rob, Pickens, Jameson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Mark Andrews. Any suggestions? George Pickens was someone last week we were saying to go through and sell high on, given the target competition you had in a bad offense. I still think that Pittsburgh's a bad offense, but I mean, I cannot be telling you to go through and sell George Pickens now with Chase Claypool on the move. I mean, it looks like Pickens does have it in the range of outcomes to go out there and be that league-winning player now that we really want to be holding on to. Trying to come up with something for us, my friend. I'd really like to upgrade running back too. Gus Edwards is someone that I know doesn't have a lot of value, but I still think the little value he has is probably too much, specifically because the man's in a 3-man running back by committee. He's injured. He's not a pass catcher. So if we look at all these things in aggregate, I don't see the upside for Gus Edwards, especially on a team that looks like they're going to make the fantasy football playoffs. And we know for a fact that we are going to be getting J.K. Dobbins back eventually here. So if we could go through and maybe package together, I don't have much. Gus Edwards and a depth wide receiver, go get an upgrade at the running back position that way for a running back too that we'd feel comfortable starting with. I think that would be phenomenal. In reality, I think you built out this roster the way you should. We have the elite level quarterback. We have the elite level tight end with Josh Allen and Andrews. We weren't wasting roster spots by going out and just grabbing backup quarterbacks and backup tight ends when we have these two elite level guys. Obviously, we need a fill-in tight end for this week and next week if Andrews misses, and then we have the bye. I'm sorry, I wish I could have some better advice for you. The only thing that I would say, because I really like the construction of this roster as is go through and try to trade Gus and a depth wide receiver. We were saying Wan'Dale Robinson last week as well, but now I don't know what we're going to be getting for Wan'Dale after he drops in nothing burger. If we can go and trade those two players and get an upgrade at running back, yes, but it's hard to imagine what we could actually get. Now, Mehdi, always out here. Thank you. Says, happy BR format team is Hurts, Tua, Fournette, Swift, Adams, Cooks, Kelsey, CEH, Thomas, Hunt, Deontay, Mike Williams. Should we trade Leonard Fournette for Jonathan Taylor or Jalen Hurts for Josh Jacobs or both? What moves should we be looking to make? Yes, we should trade Leonard Fournette for Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion. Going to be easily doing that with the Nyheim Hines deal. I probably would have told you to do that regardless. If we were looking at trading Jalen Hurts for Josh Jacobs, we don't have a backup quarterback on this team. I'd be fine if you wanted to make the move. If you could go and get someone that... Actually, no, we have Tua Tagovailoa. You have Tua Tagovailoa? Yes, let's trade. Okay, let me ask everyone in the chat here. I mean, obviously, Jalen Hurts has been, possibly league MVP. Him, Mahomes, and Allen are right there for league MVP. If you had Tua Tagovailoa as your backup quarterback, would you trade Jalen Hurts for Josh Jacobs? You don't really need running back either. You're going to be rolling with Taylor, Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Kareem Hunt at running back. But you have Tua Tagovailoa as a backup QB. Would you be trading Jalen Hurts for Josh Jacobs? Just please spam the chat. We have 900 people out here. Say Josh Jacobs or Jalen Hurts. Josh Jacobs or Jalen Hurts. Let me know what your answer is. Now, Daniel says he thinks he can get more. That's my initial reaction as well. I mean, with Jacobs and the Raiders having a dud week this past week, maybe you could get a little bit more. The chat seems a little split on it. It's very difficult to answer questions when it comes to trading away quarterbacks in shallow redraft leagues in a one quarterback format, because every league's going to value the quarterback position a little differently. Like if we're playing in a 12-team Superflex Dynasty League, we know exactly how to evaluate the quarterback spot. We know exactly what quarterbacks are worth, but I would say maybe this is a little nuance where it's a fair deal and it's going to come down to your perception on how the rest of your league mates are valuing those QBs. Now, our next search coming out from Donovan in a 16-team BBR format where we have Goff, Geno, Eckler, Walker, Etienne, Jamal, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gallup, McKenzie, Reynolds, Palmer on the IR. We have Taysom, Knox, San Fran, Young Hoku. What moves should we be looking to make? 16-team league, that's where I'm going to be fine rostering 2 quarterbacks. Be okay rostering 2 tight ends if you want to, even if I do think that Taysom Hill could be an intriguing sell-high guy. I mean, if we eventually get back Thomas, Jarvis, and Jameis in this offense, I think it'll be a tougher spot in general for Taysom Hill to have that consistent role. We're going to be keeping Eckler. We're going to be keeping Walker. We're going to be keeping ETN. I'm going to hold on to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The only thing I would say is, if you personally feel comfortable with Dawson Knox going forward, the man's already through his bye week as well. If you wanted to go through and trade Taysom Hill and Michael Gallup and get back a wide receiver that you're excited about like Chris Godwin, I would be fine with that. But obviously, it's a little bit more difficult to make those 2-for-1 deals in a 16-team format where options off the waiver wire to backfill aren't going to be as nice. Now, Jason says, Kyler as our only quarterback. Week 13 bye. Do we pick up Watson this week? And would we drop Wan'Dale, Madison, Henderson, Rashad White, or Garrett Wilson? Yes, I would drop Wan'Dale Robinson for Deshaun Watson. Yes. I think Deshaun Watson could be a top 5 quarterback. You can play him during the Kyler Murray bye. And worst case scenario, hell, maybe it opens up the opportunity to sell one of these quarterbacks and get an elite level receiver later on in the year. Now, Name says, worried for Justin Jefferson, and is Jamal Williams a good running back too going forward? I think Jamal Williams is going to be a volatile mid-running back, mid to low-end RB2 going forward as DeAndre Swift gets healthier and expands his role in this offense. And with Justin Jefferson, I know he didn't score the touchdown. I know Jefferson didn't have a ton of points here, but I'm not going to overthink this. I still think that Justin Jefferson is going to be just fine. I personally am not going to be worried whatsoever. So no, don't panic on Jefferson. You should be good, my friend. But thank you so much for always being out here in the stream with us. And Michelle says, trade Olave, Higgins, Singletary for Henry, Palmer, DJ Moore. We lost Breece Hall. We need a running back. So going from Singletary to Palmer at this point, who cares? Take them out of the deal. Singletary was not someone I was excited about before the Niemeyer's trade. No reason to be looking at Singletary now. If we're looking at Olave, Higgins versus Henry and DJ Moore, easily give me Henry and DJ Moore. If you need a running back, if we lost Breece Hall, Derrick Henry looks like he's in a complete smash spot. And Avery says, should I trade Joe Mixon for Jonathan Taylor? We have Eckler and Ramondre Stevenson. I personally would. I asked the live chat earlier today, however, who they would rather have between Joe Mixon and Jonathan Taylor. And the majority of people told us Joe Mixon even after the Niemeyer's trade. But can everybody please let me know in the live chat right now? Who would you rather have on your roster rest of season? Would you rather roll with Jonathan Taylor or Joe Mixon? Jonathan Taylor or Joe Mixon? Please, everybody let me know in the chat. And Common says in a start to Ramondre, JT, Swift, Jamal, and Aaron Jones. I think you got to go Aaron Jones this week in a very good matchup against the Detroit Lions. I mean, if we're looking outside of that, I kind of go JT even over Ramondre Stevenson, even with Ramondre looking great. But Mike says, should we accept I get Evans and trade away C-Pat? Hell yes. I mean, I called Cordell Patterson a buy low running back, but that's because I figured his value was nothing close to Mike Evans at this point. Yeah, go get Evans. Now, Don coming out with a massive dono. Thank you. Says Hurts, Jefferson, St. Brown, Swift, Taylor, Higbee, Lamb. And then on the bench, we have Jamal, Joe Mixon. Any moves? None of the elite level tight ends are available in half PPR formats. I don't think I have any. Very boring answer, but yeah, Jalen Hurts, you have a top 3 quarterback. Justin Jefferson, a top 3 wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another top 10 option at the receiver position. CeeDee Lamb, another low-end wide receiver 1. So you have 3 wide receiver 1s, an elite quarterback. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon. While they have all struggled, I think that they are at least going to be low-end running back 1s going forward. So you have 3 running back 1s, 3 wide receiver 1s, an elite level quarterback. You're telling us that the elite level tight ends aren't available. So my friend, what could I possibly tell you? What move could we possibly make? I don't think you have one. I think you're in a great spot. Now, Fahudi says, would you trade Cordell Patterson for Deontay Foreman? I think you would have to have Deontay Foreman over Patterson at this point. Tired Eye says, you owe me an apology for making fun of me for saying I was looking forward to the Falcons game. Okay, I am sorry. The Falcons game was electric. PJ Walker, Mariota putting on a show, some top tier entertainment. I will say that my favorite game we were looking forward to was the Tua Tagovailoa Jared Goff showdown. So, I would make an argument that maybe that was more exciting, but keep in mind, I just like watching my guy Jalen Waddle. Congrats on the call, my man. I mean, if you had some DFS tournaments built around that game, sure you're pretty excited about it. And Diego says, should I trade Lamar for Barkley and DJ Moore or Aaron Rodgers? Hell yeah. If you can trade Lamar Jackson for Saquon Barkley and DJ Moore, knowing that Lamar has both Bateman and Andrews injured, I wouldn't look to make this deal. Caden coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says a fourth in a 10-team PPR league. I'm 4-4 with the most points scored. We have Hurts, CMC, Kamara, JT, Connor, AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyler Boyd, Pittman, Myers, Kelsey, any moves I should be making. Very similar to the team we just looked at, my friend. You just sent us a monster. It's the highest scoring team in your league as is. And we had Kamara getting injured earlier in the year, Jonathan Taylor getting injured this season, James Conner getting injured this season, DeAndre Hopkins with a suspension, Amon-Ra St. Brown getting injured this season. So you've been one of the most unlucky fantasy football players so far this season. Yet despite that, still are in a spot where you have the most points scored in your league. So I'm sorry, my friend. I would love to come out here and try to find something for you to do. I truly would. But in reality, there's nothing. In reality, you are in a phenomenal spot. Now, I shine, long time no see. Always super happy to have you out here, my friend. No idea how you are not a moderator in this live stream yet. Let me go ahead and let me make you a moderator. Don't have to do anything if you don't want to. Please don't feel like you have to do anything. But in my super flex, I'm hit because my quarterbacks all have bye weeks. We have Dak, Danny Dimes, Deshaun Watson on the bench, suspended, of course. What's funny is he would also be on bye if he wasn't suspended. Which quarterback should I drop that? Derek Carr or Justin Fields, who just got Claypool and has a big catch radius? So I think Justin Fields would actually be the more exciting quarterback to add between Fields and Derek Carr, even if you think Carr is potentially the better quarterback from a real life perspective. The thing is with Justin Fields, he's providing you that rushing upside that Derek Carr just simply doesn't have access to. And if Derek Carr doesn't have access to that rushing upside, probably in a good spot to just take Justin Fields where he can get you 60 rushing yards, which is an equivalent to about an extra 150 passing yards. So if we were forced to drop one of these quarterbacks, I don't want to drop them, but if we can't drop a running back, if we can't drop a receiver for this week, if we are dropping one of these quarterbacks, I would drop Daniel Jones on bye. Go get Justin Fields. I'm not a massive Justin Fields truther. I think y'all know that about me, but can't ignore the fact that it's a pretty good spot for him here. You get the upgraded wide receiver. He previously had one of the worst, I repeat, one of the worst wide receiver cores in the NFL. So let's drop Jones and let's get Fields. But thank you so much for always being out here with us, my man. And John says we have Allen, Gordon, Damian Harris, Kupp, Chase, Pitts, Devonta Smith, Tyler Boyd. We need a running back. Who do we trade for in a non-PPR format? Okay, so non-PPR league. I think in a non-PPR league, we look at someone like Tyler Boyd. And while, yes, he does have a very nice role right now, while Tyler Boyd looks really exciting, the same time, I think in the long term, when we get Jamar Chase back in, he can't be that excited. I think Tyler Boyd is better in a full PPR format than he would be in a non-PPR league. If we could trade Tyler Boyd and maybe package him with something like Melvin Gordon now that Chase Edmonds is coming over and go get, I don't know, Miles Sanders, I think that could be exciting where Miles Sanders isn't an elite level offense. Even if he's getting vultured at the goal line with some rushing touchdowns, he's still coming away with his own. Now, Rob says, drop Brian Robinson for Khalil Herbert, Rashad White, or Isaiah Pacheco. I would drop Brian Robinson for Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert is 6th in the NFL in rushing yards right now. Don't think that keeps up, but still a pretty good spot. Kenneth coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, 4-4, 3 wide receivers, 10-team league at PPR format. Trade away Lamar and Higgins for Josh Allen. Still have Jefferson, Waddle, but the third receiver would be Deontay or London or work the waiver wire. If this was a league, you only had to start 2 wide receivers. Sure, go out there and pay up for the elite level quarterback. Go out there and make sure you bring in Josh Allen, who has access to an upside that nobody else can come close to. However, I think that if you are looking at a league where we have to start 3 receivers, where all of a sudden we'd be reliant on Drake London in our starting lineup every single week, not including injuries, not including buys, there it's going to be I'm going to be a little more hesitant. There it's going to be harder to pay up for Allen. But Alexi, always out here. Thank you. Says aloha. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. I just wanted to say thanks tonight. I love the live streams and chatting with the flock, but take breaks when needed. Your work ethic is Kobe-esque. Thank you so much for supporting the live stream. Yeah, we haven't missed a day of live streaming in probably 150 days now. God knows how long it's been. But at the same time, we said this in a video earlier today when someone made a comment, it's not work. Clearly, there are 900 people out here that want to just hang out with us and talk fantasy football. And why is that? Because we all love fantasy football. And I would make the argument, I probably love fantasy football way more than you do. And we're all doing it. So it's just, this is what I love. This is what I love doing. Trust me, it's not work. If I was maybe roofing houses or working construction, doing some real work, a real man's job, then yes, we would probably need to take a break and rest up. But we're just sitting here hanging out talking fantasy football. This is the best thing in the world. Now, Jose says, in a keeper league, is it worth keeping Breece Hall if it means he'd be my 2nd round pick? It's going to depend on how many players are kept in your league. If it's a league where only 3 guys are kept, then honestly, a 2nd round pick's going to be pretty good. You probably have 3 better options if you can get them at a cheaper cost. However, if it's a league that 8, 9 guys are kept, then hell yeah, who cares? The 2nd round pick's not going to be nearly as valuable. And obviously, Breece Hall looks like you just completely smashed there. Now, name coming out again. Thank you, says, hey, me again, bro. We got a full PPR format with Burrow, Jacobs, Jamal, Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Hockenson, Lockett. And then on the bench, Kirk, Rondale, Algier, Hubbard, Carter, James Conner, and Deshaun Watson. Okay, so if we were looking to go ahead and do anything here, hard to make any trades. Chuba Hubbard and Tyler Algier would be guys that would be quick to cut, if we're going to be honest. If we can find a running back that we like a little bit more off the waiver wire, if we can go get someone like Chase Edmonds, knowing that we're hopefully going to get Cordell Patterson back in this week. Maybe it doesn't happen. We're going to have to continue to monitor the situation. But knowing at the same time, in the case of Chuba Hubbard, that he's not a good pass catcher. He wasn't a good pass catcher in college. He never was supposed to be a good pass catcher. This offense is going to be much, much worse. I can't really tell you to make any trades. I'm sitting here trying to come up with something, my friend. I'd love to tell you to sell Jamal Williams high because you are going to get DeAndre Swift expanding his role going forward, but it's not like your league mates don't know that. Your league mates fully comprehend that, so I don't even know if we can sell Jamal Williams. We just kind of sit on our hands and roll as is. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better answer for you. And Hunter Best coming out says, I have Debo and DJ Moore along with Jefferson. Should I sell Debo and Moore, and what should we look to aim them for? If we could go and sell Debo Samuel and get Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would love it. If we could go and sell DJ Moore and get Chris Godwin, I'd love it as well. I would like to sell these 2 players. With DJ Moore, someone that I really like coming into the season, I was just straight up wrong. He was a very bad pick at the 3-4 turn. I'm willing to take my L. I'm willing to say this is probably an interesting spot to go ahead and cash out with. Just because if you are looking at DJ Moore, the Carolina Panthers offense has been fine the past 2 weeks. Literally scored over 30 points this past week. How often is that going to happen realistically? I would make the argument close to never. And Mark says, who would you rather have rest of season, Hopkins or Devontae Adams? I think we'd probably go Adams. You can make the argument Hopkins in the short term. However, eventually you will get Hollywood Brown back in. But Joe coming out with the donation, thank you so much. Says in a 10-team BBR format where we're 6-2, we're starting Kyler, Mixon, Taylor, Jefferson, Waddle, Cooks, Foreman, Ingram. Jamar's injured. Do we do Etienne and Adams for Jefferson and Mixon? And do I trust Deontay Foreman at the flex? I think you're fine making this play for the flex spot, and it is a very difficult trade to make here. I'm going to ask the live chat this. Yes, you can trust Deontay Foreman at the flex. It is a very difficult trade to make. First off, everybody go down there, drop a like in the live stream. We are 1 like away from hitting 1,300 likes in the stream. Please fix your life and hit that like button if you have not already. Second off, go look at Joe's donation. You can see it at the top of the live chat. Look at his trade where he's trading away Etienne and Adams for Jefferson and Mixon. Please, which side would you rather have? I think you are getting an upgrade from Adams to Jefferson. I think you are getting a downgrade from Etienne to Mixon. Please let me know which side would you prefer having in the live chat between Etienne and Adams or Jefferson and Joe Mixon. With that roster, you can see Joe's donation at the very top of the page. Please, everybody help out. I mean, it's a very tough spot. And Garrett says, JT and Michael Pittman Jr. for Etienne and Devonta Smith, good or bad? I would rather have the Indianapolis Colts there. Okay, Chase says he'd rather have JJ and Mixon. We have a lot of other people saying Etienne and Adams. Yeah, it looks like most people are going Etienne and Adams. Now we have some more Jefferson and Mixon. I don't know. If it's tough, I mean, it's real tough. Adams is through his bye, but Etienne isn't. Jefferson's through his bye, but Mixon isn't. You can't even really use that as a tiebreak. I think it's kind of down to you, my friend. I think it's down to you. And Michael coming out says, we need a win. We're 4-4 in a 10-team BBR format and scored the second most points, but have the most points against. We rolling with Tua or Joe Burrow. Short term, when we have no Jamar Chase, let's roll with Tua Tagovailoa. Good matchup against Chicago. Need 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Waddle, St. Brown, Olave, McLaurin. We're going to go with Waddle and St. Brown. Running back, we have JT, Ramondre, Walker, and Leonard Fournette. Here, I think we probably go Kenneth Walker as our running back 1. Given the fact that you have Nyheim Hines moved, I think we go Jonathan Taylor, running back 2. And then for our flex spot, it is an interesting conversation between Ramondre Stevenson and Chris Olave. I think we wait, and if you have both Michael Thomas as well as Jarvis Landry missing this week, we go Olave. If we have some receivers coming back to this New Orleans Saints offense, maybe we pivot over and go Ramondre. Now, Chris says, full BBR format, we have Allen, Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Diggs, A.J. Brown, and Njoku. No tight end besides Irv Smith Jr. on the IR. We have Adam Thielen and Brandon Cooks flex options. What moves do we look to make? Oh my gosh. I never, and I repeat, ever want to tell someone to go through and trade one of their top end studs to get depth. That's boring. Not something you want to do. Not something that you're excited about. But I think specifically with this roster, it's a deal that you kind of have to make. I think that you have no other option but to go through and, I mean, Irv Smith Jr. is nothing. Just freaking cut him. I don't even care about having him on the IR. I'd rather have, Jameson Williams on the IR. With David Njoku with the high ankle sprain, I think you may end up having to move A.J. Brown and go get a lesser receiver. Go get T. Higgins. Go get Amon-Ra St. Brown. Go get Chris Godwin. And also get a respectable tight end. And also get someone like Dallas Goedert coming in. Go get Kittle. We're not accepting for the Gerald Everetts of the world, but if we can get a Goddard, if we can get a Kittle, if we can get that depth, I think that'd be exciting. Because the issue is right now, we have no tight ends. David Njoku has the ankle sprain. You have Adam Thielen and Brandon Cooks in the flex. Like, it's a situation where I never want to tell someone to move the best asset for 2 lesser ones to just sacrifice the one really exciting player for some depth. But I don't know if we have another option. And Blank says, I traded Olave and Walker for Lamar and Garrett Wilson. What are your thoughts? The quarterback was Daniel Jones. We have Mixon, Swift. I'm going to try for Etienne on the waiver. What the hell? If this is a league where you're getting Etienne on the... You got to be trolling. If you can get Etienne for free, then hell yes, great deal. Lamar Jackson can still be the quarterback 1 in fantasy. I am a little bit worried, however, considering the fact that you have the injury to both Bateman and Andrews. Now, Mr. B says, should we trade Waddle and Mostert for JT and Curtis Samuel? I love Waddle, but yes, you should make the deal. Chris coming out says, yo, give up Swift for CeeDee Lamb. My other receiver is Higgins. My other running backs are Dalvin and Deontay Foreman. Or should I stick with what we got? I would honestly probably stick with what you have. If you could trade like Deontay Foreman and then maybe a depth receiver, maybe if you have someone like Curtis Samuel and go get Lamb that way, I think that would be exciting. Now, Spencer says Cook, Madison, Myers for JT, Hines, and Pittman. I'm going to go JT, Hines, and Pittman. I'd still rather have Pittman over Myers. I'd rather have JT over Dalvin now that you have Hines in Buffalo. Now, Taco coming out, always out here. Thank you so much, my friend. Let me go ahead and let me make you a moderator on this live stream. I mean, you're out here every single day with us pretty much, or at least once a week. Thank you. So 6 and 2 in a 12-team PPR format. We have Brady, Mixon, Jones, Swift, Jefferson, St. Brown, Andrews, Pickens, Garrett Wilson on the bench. Opinion on trading Mixon. Trying to trade to a 2 and 6 team. Mixon, Wilson, Pickens for Alvin Kamara. What are your thoughts? I would be fine with this deal in a full PPR format. I would say in a vacuum while we're trading away Joe Mixon. Well, yeah, he looked pretty bad this past Monday night. At the same time, I mean, for that reason, you aren't going to be getting a lot with Joe Mixon here. Like, you aren't getting much for Joe Mixon. Most people are viewing Joe Mixon as a running back that's just a mess. I don't even want to say that out loud. Nobody wants Mixon. If you're able to go and trade a few small pieces and Mixon to go get Alvin Kamara, I'm not going to fault you for it. I will be a little bit hesitant in trading for Kamara if his situation were to change. If Jameis were to come back in, if Thomas were to come back in, if Jarvis were to come back in, then I think it would be worse. But I mean, for the time being, looks like that may not happen. Now, Kaysen says, full PPR, 8-team PPR league. We have Lamar, JT, Dalvin, Brown, Amon-Ra, Boyd, Taysom. And then on the bench, we have Metcalf, Higbee, and Deontay Foreman. Should we make any changes this week? I mean, I would like getting DK Metcalf in. I think it's going to be up to you if you want to start Metcalf versus Tyler Boyd. I will say Metcalf has a pretty good matchup going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Taysom Hill versus Tyler Higbee. Until we get some of these players back in New Orleans, I think you probably have to go Taysom Hill over Tyler Higbee as well. And then I'm going to start JT, Dalvin Cook over Deontay Foreman, definitely. Now, Christopher says we have Dak, Henry, Foreman, CD, DK, Moore, Judy, Andrews, Patterson, Jamal, Najee. Currently 5 and 3. Got off for Chase for Najee Harris and DK Metcalf. 5 and 3. If you think that you can stay afloat and wait 3 or 4 weeks until we get Jamar Chase back in, hell yes, let's do it. I think it's very exciting that he avoids the IR. I think you can be significantly more excited about him now that he does go through and avoid that IR. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, KSO says, need help, a 3 and 5 roster. We have Josh Allen at quarterback with Dak Prescott. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Debo, Lazard, Judy, Odell. Running back, we have Eckler, Gibson, Edwards, Najee. Tight end, we have Kittle and Zach Ertz. What can we look to do in a 10-team PPR format? Who can we look to trade? I think you could possibly look to trade the backup quarterback here in Dak Prescott. If we could move Dak Prescott and Debo Samuel, get a wide receiver upgrade that we'd be excited about for the long term, I would really like that. Because if you are looking at Josh Allen's already through his bye. You're going to be starting him over Dak every single week regardless. With Debo Samuel, I am concerned given the fact that this is a wide receiver that plays a very similar role to Christian McCaffrey, kind of. I mean, obviously, he's a little more receiver than running back. CMC's a little more running back than receiver. Let me know what y'all are thinking. Let me know what y'all are thinking here. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Hunter Best says, what running backs could I trade Debo Samuel for? Pierce or Kenneth Walker? I mean, hell yeah, I would trade him for either running back. I would prefer Kenneth Walker over Dameon Pierce, however. Now, Fisher says, hey, Mason, SMTX here. Thank you for coming out, my friend. 12-team full PPR format. We have Burrow, McLaurin, DK, CMC, Jacobs, Andrews, Singletary, Foreman, Gibson, Gesicki, Wandale. What moves are we looking to make? Now that Singletary looks like someone we can not start, I mean, it's going to be harder to trade away Deontay Foreman. Can't trade away Gesicki, given the fact that Andrews is injured and is on bye the following week. Wandale Robinson was a wide receiver we were looking to trade a week ago, but now you're not going to get enough for him. I think the only guy that I'd be looking to sell here would be someone like Terry McLaurin. If we are able to go through and maybe move, say, Terry McLaurin and a small piece and get T. Higgins, get Jamar Chase, knowing that we have Joe Burrow in this roster, get one of those Cincinnati Bengals receivers, make the one consolidated bet here in Cincinnati, I would like that. Now, Rubber Duck's coming out. I think this is the first time we've seen you. Thank you, my friend. Says, start Devonta Smith or Gabe Davis in a full PPR format. I think that they are both comparable. I think they're both receivers that you're relying on the spike week potential with the fact that they are an elite level offenses. They're playing alongside true alphas. So I would go Gabe Davis this week, because the issue with the Eagles is they're not going to throw the ball in the second half if they're up big. The Bills will. The Bills against the Jets, if they're up big, they're still going to be throwing the ball with aggression in the fourth quarter. We've seen Philadelphia just start to run the ball, and they're going to just beat the Texans into a pulp. Now, Paul says, thanks. It's a double flex league, 10-team app PPR format where we have Tua, JT, Connor, Waddle, Lamb, Kelsey, Godwin, Khalil Herbert. And then on the bench, we have Hunt, Williams, Garrett Wilson, Rashad White, John Dotson, Gus Edwards. Who to trade away and for who? If we were looking at maybe making a single move here, I think the trade would be potentially seeing what we could get with Khalil Herbert. With Khalil Herbert, if we were able to sell him and maybe a small piece like Rashad White, Gus Edwards, or John Dotson, and we were able to go ahead and maybe get back someone like Miles Sanders. I would like that. I mean, I'm trying to sit here and think. The issue with Khalil Herbert is while he looks phenomenal, he's 6th in the NFL in rushing yards. He has over 6 yards per carry. He looks like he's going to get more and more of this offense. He's still in a 50-50 backfield in a bad offense, and he's not catching passes. So I still think we're selling him. Now, Daniel coming out says, 1, drop London to pick up Rondale Moore or Joshua Palmer from the waiver wire. Probably not. 2, pick for a running back, Khalil Herbert, Brian Robinson, or Rashad White. We're going to go Khalil Herbert. 3, is Keenan Allen playing? I would assume Keenan Allen plays. But at the same time, I've said that every week for the past 3, so I don't know if I'm trustworthy when it comes to it, my friend. But Garrett coming out, thank you, says, hey, me again. We got A.J. Brown and Godwin, or Hopkins and Lockett. My receivers are Brown, Michael Pittman Jr., Godwin, and DJ Moore. I think Brown and Hopkins are comparable in that you're looking at Hopkins as a better option until Hollywood comes back, and then Brown probably is a better option once Hollywood is back in. But I would rather have Godwin over Lockett rest of season. They are very comparable as well. So I think it's a fair deal, and it is going to be up to you, my friend. What I will say is you do already have A.J. Brown through the bye week where DeAndre Hopkins isn't. But Lax says Kamara, Pierce, Patterson, Tyreek, Devontae, Kirk, Godwin, who to target? Honestly, I don't see a clear sell-high player for us, my friend. I think you're just rolling with as is. Fisher says, what about McLaurin for Hines and Allen Lazard? I think you need significantly more from Terry McLaurin. I don't view Naeem Hines as someone that you're going to be excited about starting going forward. I mean, yeah, he's playing a good offense, but Devin Singletary was getting every single snap in the world, and you still did not have enough production here in Buffalo for him to be able to actually be someone to provide real fantasy points. So I would go ahead. I would still take Terry McLaurin. I think you got to ask for a little bit more. But I think we're all through with this live stream. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm still going to answer a ton of questions. I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes answering questions. They don't need to be donation questions, but we did 10 live streams today pretty much. My voice is killing me. You could probably hear it. We lost our voice a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to try to save my voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to premiere a video on this channel right now, literally right this second. And it will be our top 30 wide receiver rankings. So I know that pretty much everybody here is already subscribed. If you are not subscribed to this channel, make sure you fix your life. Go down there, subscribe, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. And once this live stream ends, run over and go to the premiere and ask any of your questions in the live chat. I'm sorry, not in the live chat, in the comment section. Not the live chat. It's way easier for me to answer questions in the comment section. The live chat just skims by super fast. So I'm going to go through. I am going to premiere that video. Go ask all your questions in the comment section. If you drop a like on the video and leave your question in the comments, I will go ahead and answer it right this second. But thank you guys. I appreciate all of you. Hope you have a great night, and I hope we get to see you in the in that live premiere in 1 second.